I think the greatest thing that ever happened in South Florida broadcasting history was when the Marlins realized their egregious mistake of letting this man go from their broadcast there as the color analyst, where he was doing an outstanding job and was beloved by everybody.
Yes.
And then, well, we're going in a new direction. I want to go. And well, you're not on board there, Tommy. But bringing him back, I think, was as monumental an accomplishment for the Marlins franchise as winning the 2 World Series. We welcome on the show the great Tommy Hutton. Tommy, how are you, my friend? Good to have you on the show.
Hey, well, first of all, I don't know if it compares with the 2 World Series, but I got to go back to the clip that you played before, the past clip, when I asked you to squeeze me a 20. I made that 20 back recently, taking the over-under on the wheelchairs for your junket to Atlantic City.
Hey, you hit that right away, man. People went straight to the window. They didn't even bother picking up their... You should see those people sprint, though, when they get to the Atlantic City airport, and then the bus is like, a few feet away, and they all just fly right out of the chair there, and it's like all of a sudden you're watching Carl Lewis in the track meet in the long jump there. It's amazing.
Yeah, a new event in the Olympics. Yeah.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
All the stuff going haywire there, Mike Lubie-Lewitz. Good morning, everybody. Great to be with you on this fine Thursday. Another beautiful day here in South Florida. Spring break is on, Lubie. Have you noticed any activity related to spring break in your travels around town? Or you're kind of sedate staying home?
When I go to our remotes, because you guys always have me go out east.
Oh, yeah.
I notice a lot.
There's nothing near you. I mean, that's the weird thing. Nothing near you.
Yeah, I don't get it here.
Yeah.
Coral Springs.
Not many people. I guess maybe the Hard Rock, is that loaded up with spring breakers? I would think the prices there would be prohibitive for spring breaking, although it's not like it used to be. I remember I came here, I had $100 to last me, and I was with a young lady I was seeing at the time. We came down for a spring break. I guess it was my senior year of college, and I had $100, and I thought, wow, I couldn't be any more flush, right? I was going to take care of the two of us for like 10 days. Which, included, our lodging wasn't exactly at a premium. That time at the Anchor Hotel, you know what it cost? The Anchor Hotel? I think it was $5 for a room in South Beach. Anchor Hotel, which was featured in that movie, that real brick of a movie that Stephen Baldwin and Cindy Crawford were in.
Oh, God.
And some of it was filmed here, and they actually, one of the scenes was shot at the Anchor Hotel, which I was frankly amazed that it was still standing at that point. That was the famous episode where I was about to finally engage in a sexual act with a woman that I had been seeing for a while. And, she had some religious convictions about having sex before being married, which I always found to be somewhat foolish, although we respect everybody's beliefs, right, Lubie?
Sure.
When you're seeing a girl, you don't want to find out that she's going to be a virgin until she's married.
Exactly.
Immediately I went into the hood there and bought a ring, and I said, hey, why don't we...
You're imposing.
Why don't we test this out before we actually do tie the knot, just to make sure? But that was the first encounter I had with the flying palmetto bug, which I'd never heard of. I mean, to me, this was, like out of the dinosaur age. When I saw this thing crawling down a curtain just as I was about to get, where I wanted to go.
Oh, yeah.
And the bug was the size of the camera that I'm looking into. And this isn't one of those small little pipsqueak cameras there on the top of the computer. We're talking about a legitimate camera here.
Yeah.
And it was about to crawl on her head. Okay, so I don't know what to do because naturally my hedonistic instincts were to go ahead and just see if I could dodge this bug. But if it crawled on her face, that would have been it. She would have broken me in half, literally.
Yes.
It would have been worse than having the thing caught up in a vice there, with like Joe Pesci and a baseball bat saying, yeah, you'll never use this again. Okay, great. Anyway, I told her, I said, hey, listen, we got to stop because there's this insect crawling around here, and I'm going to try and whack it right now, right? So we disengage, and then I get like something to try and hit this thing with, and it flew like a bat around the room.
Yeah,
And
she
now the woman is petrified. I mean, it wasn't like she was the squeamish type to begin with. This was no Joe Philbin of females. I mean, she was pretty bald and lived a very independent life thereafter also, and very well accomplished. But so she's kind of like running around the room naked, and I'm trying to chase this bug down, and I ended up. I mean, it was like a Superman episode where I unloaded the entire fire extinguisher's contents on this bug, and it was
oh
still
no,
flying.
fire
Still
extinguisher.
flying.
Oh, dear.
Okay. Well, I mean, in every room at the Anchor Hotel had to be equipped with, an extreme amount of fire preventive equipment because that place was like, I mean, one match and the whole place was up in smoke. If somebody lit up a cigarette outside, this place
Oh,
was about to catch fire. So after emptying the entire canister of whatever it is, whatever foam that is that comes out of a fire extinguisher, I threw the extinguisher at the bug,
it's like a movie.
hit it, and
Throw
it
the-
still lived. I mean, it was like a Nick Cage fight scene. Unbelievable. Anyway,
Oh,
that was back in the days at the Cuse, which was probably where, I don't know, should we begin there, Lubie?
yeah, why not? It's fine.
Syracuse, Jimmy B out, but this eclipsed it. See, because we were talking about this on our Defo and 5, which we recorded before this show, and Lubie tells me after I was looking at what seemed to be some desperately disappointing numbers
They're gonna
that
be.
the thing is like a smash hit on Twitter. Which what does that mean? Does that help us at all, Lubie? What's the story on that?
It all matters. I don't know about hit. You vote. You want like to get 1 million. Like it doesn't work like that. That's why we're on a lot of different places, so a lot of different people
Yeah.
can find us, and all the numbers separate work together. I mean, yes, it'd be nice if we just be one place, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, because if a guy looks at the place that has 43 views, it looks like we're laying an egg here.
But we're on a bunch of different places, and each place people find us. And that's what's cool about 5 Reasons and Ethan Skolnick. They have a nice social media
We
following.
got a nice base here, and in South Florida, where obviously we're much more well known.
When I post things and I tag them, they'll retweet it. So now it's on their page.
Okay.
And those get a nice amount of views because
Good.
people
All
are
right.
going on their Twitter.
So people are not just glancing at a tweet; they're actually taking a look at this stuff, or no?
Yeah, they actually are clicking on it. They're actually
Oh,
seeing it.
nice. Okay. All right. Well, good. I'm happy to have you guys on board here because we need all the action we can get. All right. And this was going to be a working title, or at one time it was a working title for one of my books that I was planning on doing. Now, I'm incapable of writing much more than a paragraph. A lot of people think I should write a book or do stand-up comedy. Neither of those things would I be very good at. Because my writing's okay. I mean, I can write a little bit. I was a sports writer. That's how I got my start. I loved it. Read a lot. I mean, that's pretty much all I've read my entire life. So, I kind of understand the medium. And, I had a little bit of a feel for it. And I'm very good at using words that I don't know what they mean. But I can't fucking spell. So, that would be aggravating to go back into writing again. Yeah.
Well,
I guess you have spell check now, but it's detrimental, is it not? How many times have you sent out a text? I guess you're tweeting and doing all that, and the spell check changes the word to something where all of a sudden, instead of saying "I love you so much, I can't wait to come home," it comes out saying "You're a complete asshole, and I'm never coming home." And you look, you go, "Whoa, I didn't write anything like that. What are you talking about? That's
spell
crazy."
check on the computer is pretty decent, but yes, you still do have to self-edit. Yes, which I was never great at.
I've had many examples where I've looked in horror at the change that was made and said, this completely distorts the meaning of what I was trying to send out. By the way, I'm going to have all of my friends sign non-disclosures that I text because that would be the end of my career. I mean, if people started looking at that, I mean, holy John Gruden, who wants everybody to see everything about you? All right, now, so here's the thing. The book I was thinking about, the title I was thinking about using was "Thank God I Was Broke at the Time." And that was going to be a story, a book about relationships and how many I fucked up in my lifetime. All right. But wouldn't that be an appropriate read for this man, Tiger Woods?
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
I didn't see this when I picked up my post. I went right to the back of the post today, and there was my man, Jimmy B, who's lost his mind this year and didn't seem to. If you were ever going to say that maybe the message was tired and it was time to go away from the 2-3 zone, that came in with Naismith. Didn't Naismith play a 2-3 in that original game with the Peach
I would
Basket?
think,
Yeah, I
I
think
would
he
think,
did.
yes.
Every guy, I can't tell you. I mean, there were two strategies, I guess, that you look at. Now, he had success with this, the 2-3 zone. Is it because he didn't have any good defensive players?
Well, he eventually got length and got good defensive players, but it made it even more deadly because the length could work off of each other, and it made it hard for people to
The
beat.
2-3 never worked, Lubie. You know that.
It shouldn't have, but it worked for them.
I mean, either man up or forget about it. I guess NBA teams are playing 2-3 zones now too.
Yeah, they'll throw it in.
Remember, there was all this. I mean, there were so few plays in basketball anyway, but there were all these variations on a theme.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what Jimmy V was known for that. Jim Valvano, the so-called Don King trickeration when it came to defenses, because he was the guy that had like the box and one, the triangle and two. And all this stuff, and then every now and then, nobody knew how to play the 1-3-1 zone.
I was gonna say 1-3-1.
The 1-3-1 was one of those defenses that it was like, I mean, it was impossible to even describe what the hell you were supposed to do. If you were the guy out top, were you not essentially just a cherry picking asshole?
See, I wasn't. I would be up top, but I was a dogged defender. So no, I always thought I always hated those.
You were a dogged defender. I could see that, Louie. I could see you biting a guy. I could see you biting a guy on his ankle as he went up for a jumper.
But I took defense very seriously, and I hated those that just ran out. It's like, dude, we're still here. I hate it.
I don't want to say it was a considerable weakness of mine, defense,
like
but yeah. No, I was hoisting. I shot a high percentage of bombs, and I prided myself on making the majority of them. I could go on some wild streaks. I mean, unfortunately, none of those occurred in front of Jimmy Boeheim when we were running in those practices with the freshman team. And I said this earlier this morning on Defo and 5. True story. I mean, now we can make it a true-false question. Did DeForest ever run in a practice that was run by Jim Boeheim when he was coaching at Syracuse? And the answer to that is true, because we were thrown in as extra bodies with the freshman basketball team in 1969. When Jimmy B first became the freshman basketball coach. This was his first foray into coaching. I don't know that he was an assistant on the staff in any capacity before that. I want to say that he graduated with Dave Bing in like 67, somewhere in there. Because he was recently, before he became the freshman coach, Jim Boeheim we're talking about, he had been a star player on the team, but the team was relatively nondescript. They had Dave Bing, but I don't know that they did anything of any great distinction. And you never really thought about Syracuse as a basketball school at that point in time.
He's just not that much older than you. So, like, how early could he have, like, didn't he try to do other, like, he couldn't, would he have gone right from college to coaching? Like, I'm sure he would have tried other stuff. Like,
I'm not sure what he did after that. I mean, he had the potential to play some pro ball, I guess, somewhere, because he was a 6'8" guard or like a 6'7" guard, and that was an impossible find in that era of basketball.
That's what I'm saying. He's only 6 years older than you. So, like, how could he have gotten a coach in any earlier?
Well, if he's 6 years older than me, and he was there in the mid-'60s, I guess, with Dave Bing. Yeah. I think of Dave Bing as being, a previous era, to that. You think of Dave Bing as like maybe early 60s NBA basketball, but he had to come, late 60s? The great Dave Bing. Played with the Detroit Pistons, which was unfortunate for him because they never did squat while he was there. Anyway, and Boeheim, we were brought over to the practice there by a couple of guys who were on a team that actually were pretty significant in Syracuse basketball history because they were part of the foundational team that got them going into being a very powerful force in college basketball for the better part. I don't know. I mean, how long have they been insignificant, Lubie? They were just in the Final Four when we were there, 6 years ago.
They were starting to downturn and had a ridiculous run in that tournament because they had really good 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
You can get hot for a tournament like Justice Winslow did. You can fool people. And they found their way to the Final Four where they got demolished. And I don't think they've been good since. I think that was sort of like his last hurrah. I don't remember that. I think the last 5 or 6 years because that was 2016.
The man seemed to be losing it, didn't he? I mean,
Well, he's
the
always
statements that he was coming out with, he rarely said anything. He always seemed very bitter. He was the greatest whiner that you've ever seen. Now, I didn't, I never played in a game with this freshman team or anything, but I did run in a bunch of practices. And I was saying earlier this morning, Defo on 5 now on 5 Reason Sports Network, which you can catch, and apparently is doing very well with Lubie's tweeting of the program. But, and we're thankful for that. It's something new that we started. And I was saying that we were introduced to him by a guy named Mike Lee, and his roommate was a guy named Mark Waddick. And if you go back and track Syracuse basketball history, these two guys were great. I mean, contributors to bringing the team from, they would have been on the varsity in the 70-71 season through, what would that be 3 years later, 73, 74? No, it would have been 72, 73, because that would have been the graduating year. And they were really part of the foundation of what allowed Syracuse to kind of build a program that became prominent. So it really took off then. And Boeheim became the coach after this guy, Roy Danforth, left Syracuse to take the job at Tulane, which would you think that, I mean, that would not seem like a step up, would it? I guess it was at the time.
Well, at the time, yeah. I mean, there wasn't blue bloods. I mean, I guess you had Carolina wasn't even great yet. Kentucky, I guess, existed, and Kansas existed, and UCLA. I mean, outside of Kansas, Kentucky, UCLA, who had success in college basketball? I mean, what do you mean? The New York, SUNY New York teams, like, were where basketball was reigning supreme.
The Johnnies, baby, Luke Carnesecca. It was great.
Yeah, I mean, so Tulane could have been better or on par with the Syracuse at that point.
All right, so my lasting memory, and the most significant thing that happened out of that, besides being exhausted and realizing that no matter how good you thought you weren't as good as you actually believed, because guys that were scrubs on the varsity were making you look like a fool. And Boeheim says to Mike Lee, and Mike later related this to me. I don't know if we were smoking a joint at the time. He didn't really get involved in drugs, unfortunately. I had discovered that in my freshman year, and. And he says, Boeheim, asked me after the practice, essentially, where the fuck did you find those clowns? Don't bring these guys back here. I know he couldn't insult Lee because Lee was a really good player. Yeah. So I mean, I guess he had to tolerate us the other times we were in the gym, but that was it. I mean, that was so I had some contact with this guy, and I always then felt, even though he wouldn't know me if I, I mean, we would see him. We saw him a couple of times. I guess that time we were at the Final Four. But it's not like I'm going to come up to him. Hey, you remember me? I was the guy who told Mike Lee sucked.
No, he's not remembering.
I mean, he was like 50 years removed from this thing already. I remember it because it was big for me, to even have a chance to get out there. And anyway, I mean, this jumper wasn't even in the air yet, and they already had the decision made. What was going on with that? Signs of senility, Lubie? This business also with Jimmy B out of nowhere, all of a sudden pointing fingers at people and saying, yo, what's wrong with college basketball, Larinaga? It's you.
Yeah, of all the people.
Larinaga.
He's a fellow New York guy. Like, you can't tell me that Boeheim and Larinaga don't know each other well. They're old school.
Oh, I would imagine. I mean, and they're both old school. Yeah, exactly.
And same around age.
Very different people, though. I mean, I can't imagine we would have this much fun on interviews with Jimmy Boeheim.
Well, no, you just said it.
Seems to hate the press.
He's a legendary whiner, and it worked when they're winning. And then once you're not winning, the whining just sounds like whining. Yeah, Larry is the opposite. He's like literally, it's not
so smug. I mean, like Bobby Knight type of smug, only without the animation.
And Larinaga is the one that literally in a loss will give the other team credit, not like Philbin because he's lost, but out of respect for.
Philbin was great. We want to thank the other team for beating the shit out of us.
Philbin was an idiot. It was a game they should have won. They were the better team and they lost. Like Larinaga, they'd be the better team. That we had him on after the FSU shot, and he didn't slam FSU. They were the better team the entire game, and FSU just hung around and caught them at the end. And he said, we got beat by a shot. Like, Larinaga is a very genuine, sincere, kind man. And I've never talked with him, but Boeheim doesn't seem to be that, at least.
No, he comes across as being, is irascible too kind of a word?
It's like nice.
He's always angry. I mean, every press conference you see Jimmy Boeheim at, he's alibiing about something, whining about this or that. He just always seemed miserable, even though he married a young, hot chick.
Yes, and she
Right?
stayed.
That was a big thing.
Great looking. Yes.
Anyway, he's done. And I started thinking right away, well, as soon as I saw the Wake Forest game end, I thought, "Is that it?" And the lovely and talented one was sending me a text. I guess she already knew that this was going to be it for Jimmy B. Now that's a funny thing too, because it's like at a radio station where they can't wait for the ratings to come out so they can fire you because they figure you're going to get buried again.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, here it is, like a giant number. It's a 6.0. And you're thinking, I'm alive. I'm alive. And the management has to, kind of detour their plans to have gotten rid of you. And they already had your replacement in town. They're putting him up at a hotel. And, all of a sudden you're like a ratings monster. They can't let you go. Right. And so what if he had won the tournament, the ACC tournament? Yeah.
I would have kept him.
Yeah. That was an interesting story yesterday. But the shot wasn't even, you could see it was going to be good when the kid let it go. Or it was going to be around the rim somewhere. Reasonably likely to go in. And you could see Jimmy B's contract whoosh, straight in the shredder, my friend. It went right in. There was no discussion, nothing. Boeheim had just, he obviously sensed this because he had made some statements saying that, I'll retire when I feel like retiring. And then the AD came down and said, hey, Jimmy, guess what? Here are your sticks, man. Go play some golf there at the, I forget the name of the country club. It was a very, fabled place there in Syracuse. And the only place, I think, what is the point of building a golf course in Syracuse? It's good for 1 day a year.
A month? Yeah. You can play
the rest of the time, it's covered in snow. Yeah, it's unbelievable. All right, we're going to have a Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. And it's going to be a little odd to conduct. Because naturally, I forgot about it until early this morning, and that Gurggles wasn't going to be with us today. Now, I have some questions stashed deep in this computer that, unfortunately, has probably been, laden with viruses that eclipse anything of early COVID. I don't want to say what I was doing. But I don't mess with this computer here, the one that actually is powering the show. There will never be a pornographic picture, nothing. If the feds come in and seize my computers, I'm giving them this one.
Take that one.
But if they take the other one,
give you Rex Ryan.
Never mind the Biden family, man. It's over. Would you not be better off broke if you're breaking up with a chick?
Oh, yeah. With marriage, mine was seamless. We both were broke.
Right. Both broke.
It's like,
so easy, right? There's no argument. There's nothing. There's no hostility. There's no name calling. Nothing. She disappears. You never see her again. That's it.
Man, what's there to be mad about? We had nothing.
Perfect. Yeah. You have money. All of a sudden, it's a whole different matter there. Yeah, I'm gonna squeeze you dry.
Yeah.
Is this chick worth? Should she get $30 million from Tiger? Apparently, he locked her out of the mansion. He tricked her into leaving the place. Tiger's great, man. He should write a book. His book would be a classic if he ever told the truth.
He doesn't have one? That's what it is. A lot of people.
He's probably got some book about.
A lot of people have written about him. He hasn't.
Focus to Win. Yeah. Oh no. Including didn't Armin Katayan?
Jeff. Yep.
And that was a hell of a documentary. That was a really, really well done piece. If you ever get a chance to see that, Armin Katayan, who for some reason, we should grab him and get him on a show sometime soon because I'm always amazed at somebody of that caliber. Well, even like yesterday with Leslie Fisher calling in.
She's
somebody of that caliber. What's that?
She's texting me now, mocking your knowledge of Syracuse.
Leslie Fisher's total recall of college basketball is absolutely incredible.
She's like, he must have been stoned. I'm like, you think?
I just like the fact that Jimmy B referred to me and my buddy as not even knowing our names as bag ladies. You grow up and you think you're like a decent player or whatever, and you'll go out and win the majority of your games you participate in, and maybe on no major level, but you're thinking you're pretty good, and then you get in there and you're like, whoa. Right? Well, I guess Canelo can punch. As your guts are, coming out of your mouth there with one body shot. All right, we're going to come back with the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. I'm going to conduct that in lieu of Gurggles being in action today with his many other endeavors. And it's not going to be easy because I have an awkwardly positioned computer. My printer naturally crapped out because I haven't printed anything in years. Speaking of writing a book. And so, it's going to be a little awkward, people, but you can dial us up. Let me see if I can get the number right. 954-417-0070, correct?
Yes, it's right there on the screen. If anyone's watching, I know Ron doesn't watch; he just plays, and I appreciate that. But most of you watch and then play. It's right there on the screen, and we'd love some new people since we get lots of people watching us. We only have 5 people playing. The math doesn't work right. Like, it's just us.
I mean, it's okay with the same guys all the time because they're good guys. But
if you're out there, like, why not join in? You might as well watch us anyways.
Love to hear from somebody new. I mean, in honor of National Women's Day, which was yesterday, and I guess it's National Women's Month. I mean, when was the last time? I don't think we've ever had. We might have had one female player in a year and change we've been doing it in this system here.
On this, I think at the beginning we had a woman, didn't realize what it was, so she played. Again,
she was calling to order, 2 eggs over easy and some pancakes.
About something, and she's like, "All right, I'll play."
We picked up the phone.
It's a multiple choice. Like, our trivia Tuesdays and Thursdays is not all multiple choice, so I can understand people getting discouraged. You can have no friggin' clue, or you can have a clue, and you still will probably do just as well. It's like horse racing, handicapping. Like,
and these questions, literally, I mean, if it was a file cabinet, you would have had to blow the cobwebs off them.
5% chance on every.
That's a good thing about trivia is that, essentially it holds up forever. Although if you were talking about a specific event that was like last year's Masters or something, but I guess that would hold up too. But we'll see how it goes. All right, we'll give it a shot. Hialeah Park will be sponsoring that, by the way, and we're so proud to represent Hialeah Park because it's such a great place. And they say this about organizations, right? Like Texas Roadhouse, one of our sponsors. The owner was a real mensch of a human being. He checked out last year, unfortunately. But remember, during COVID, he was the first CEO to say, I'm forsaking my salary, and I'm going to do everything I can to preserve the jobs for the people that are going to be shut out for a while because nobody knows what the hell is going on out there. All right? And it seemed it was a very scary time in a lot of ways because they literally were stacking up body bags outside of hospitals. And, millions of people, I guess. How many people ended up checking out due to COVID, Lubie? Like over 1 million, right?
Millions. I mean, again,
several million, yeah.
Other diseases and viruses, if you want, and illnesses, 100%. The people on the other side say that, yes, it's probably true. But millions died. They did.
You're not expecting to catch like bubonic plague in this modern time and have it like knock out, half of society. But, yeah, and the company is so well run. I mean, the guy was very generous, and said, "Hey, I'm going to take care of my workers," and that's kind of how it is. I mean, it's a family feeling in Hialeah Park, and when you have those kind of organizations that are really well grounded at the top, and founded on the principle of, hey, let's make it a good time for people if we're going to be in the entertainment business. That's what they're doing at Hialeah Park, and they have the right people in place to do it. Whether it's Frankie Fiore, our good friend, Steve Calabro, the Brunettis, John Jr. and Steve, any of the people, Dennis Testa, man, who does such a tremendous job there, keeping the place. I mean, the place looks great, Lubie. You haven't been there for a little while, but man, is there anything like it? I mean, in terms of just beauty down here, it's like the botanical gardens, I mean, you're going to Butterfly World Plus.
Yes, amazing.
In terms of nature, yeah.
The flamingos are still there. It's like ridiculous. It's old school meets together, which is my favorite thing.
I love walking in there. I really do, because I remember being young, young and enterprising, and active in a lot of different ways. And I had a blast there, always at Hialeah Park. So every time I go back, I think of some of those times. And then, I mean, it always creates new good times. I had such a good time at the fights. Andy was part of the scene there, and he can account for the fact that we had a blast there. People coming up to us all night long saying, "Hey, good to see you guys." It was absolutely fantastic, and just a beautiful evening and a great entertainment venue, Hialeah Park, for any of their activities there, whether you're talking about concerts or DJs or, in this case, El Boxeo, right? Never had to do that the entire night. No derisive. Well, there were a couple of fights that were a little bit slow. But nonetheless, it was a great time. Had a fantastic evening. Went through the casino. Everybody's having a blast. Poker room, extremely professionally run. champion simulcasting room. I was in there earlier, high-fiving. I mean, these Latin guys, too. I mean, they're so great. Although, do you ever, I mean, you have friends that they high-five you so hard that you're really reluctant to ever offer it up again, the hand, Lubie?
That's usually me.
It's like, I don't want to shake hands with Bone Crusher Smith,
I broke my
necessarily.
dad's glasses once whenever she was playing UM.
Oh, my God,
I hit
yes.
his hand and went through it and hit his face.
Let's not get carried away. That's the name of the game. But you can't help yourself. I mean, you're going to feel like your spirit has been
King of the
fulfilled.
world. Yes.
Beautiful. And maybe your pockets, too, if you're, get on a streak there at Hialeah Park. It's just unbelievable how much cash is being won. Hialeah Park, a great place. Get a player's card and gives you all kinds of accommodations and rewards that, the system is really brilliant that they put together when it comes to the rewards program there. Equivalent of anything that I get, through the Mustangs' various endeavors at Harrah's casinos throughout the world. Including, right? I mean, we go to Venice, and where do we end up? In a casino there, and Mustang's asking the guy in Italian if she has any free play left over from, the Harrah's here in Pompano Beach. So, and the guy looks at her like, listen, we got some free food in the back there. You want that, lady? I guess he was from Brooklyn. He had moved to Venice there, and all of a sudden he had taken on a little bit of an Italian swagger. All right, Hialeah Park, great place to go. We'll come back. We'll conduct a trivia challenge. Dial us up, 954-417-0070. I'm Jeff DeForest. It's Mike Lubitz. We're going to go a little overtime today. A guy with a real good insight into college basketball. It's on the Believe podcast network that we also where don't we have shows, Libby?
A few places, but we're working there.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Yeah. Andy can help us get there, and then we'll be everywhere.
Andy, man, with that FanDuel guy, man, he keeps dangling that guy in front of me, and I'm salivating, chomping at the bit. A guy named Scott Spinelli going to join us, so we're going to do that about just a couple of minutes after 9, so we'll stick with you after 9 o'clock again today here on the Defo Show, back with the Trivia Challenge, Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 7:36. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. You know, since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubber's Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Oh, Solo Volante will be coming late. Oh, Solo Volante, the Belmont's now 1.8 miles. The finish line is coming up quick. Luca Panici, just switch the stick.
The only way to get your morning started is with Defo, joined by Lubie, right here on the Defo Show.
All right, this might look a little awkward here. You're going to get a little profile as I have this other computer that I never want confiscated here. Uh, I mean, it's in an awkward position on this desk, which doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of room to begin with. But if I started switching things, and we had
No,
Mustang had her cleaning people in on Monday,
don't do anything.
and you always tell them, do not touch anything. And they have to think something really funky is going on in here, right?
I mean, it looks like
Because it's a third bedroom and set up in the bedroom a camera and two like lights. So, I mean, what do you think they think is going on here, right? I would imagine they wouldn't want to touch anything on the desk.
it looks like a studio. It doesn't look like Bang Bros. It looks like a studio. Like I would think it's like my room. It looks like
It doesn't look like we're filming pornography in here. And
No.
Mustang told me never to even say that because, like, the minute you suggest it, here come the feds.
You have computers, and you have a microphone, and you have
Yeah.
a camera. You have TV. Like
It looks weird to me. I mean, if I walked into somebody's house and I saw this setup, I would think
you're you.
immediately that where's John Holmes? Unbelievable. All right, so we have the trivia challenge coming up, and I'm going to fire off these questions, but I couldn't print them out, so I'm going to have to lean out there and get them off this computer.
Well, I'm here. I can help you guide. I've hosted many a time. So
Okay, all right. No, I'll get through this, I think. And you can dial us up at 954-417-0070. And we have a Landlubber's gift certificate to give away. Lubie's always handing those out as the top prize in the game. There are no other prizes, so you either it's win or go home. Basically, it's March Madness here. Trivia Challenge style, Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge style. And Lubie will be at Landlubbers.
Right. Yes, sir.
You're going to be all over the planet today because we are very proud that we're going to be part on the Mike Mayo Lunchbox Show at 12 o'clock today of a revolution. What's that?
Multiple people have asked me, and Andy thought I was being a jerk to him. I wasn't, because he got like, sorry, sir. Multiple people have asked, so what time? And
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? We've been doing the show for over a year. Like, what do you mean, what time? I was
The
thinking
time?
every day.
Time's 12 to 1.
I thought we were going there to
Esposito's.
hang out. We're going there to hang out. No, we're going there to do the show because we want to make sure we promote the crap out of the place. Because Wine Seer and his friggin' segment slammed it, and we are not fans of that. And we think it really was uncalled for.
Well, it was absolutely unjustified. With all due respect, I couldn't really, I mean, look, you come into a place with cameras and say this place is unhealthy and the general public should not come here because you've been cited and shut down by the state, right? There's an element of sensationalism there because it's not an uncommon practice. I would imagine, 50% of restaurants have experienced this at one time or another? Is it that high? I'm not sure.
I don't know the percentages, and I understand not everyone has it happen. But I think if you last 20 years, I'd presume over 20 years it's going to happen. Okay, percentages.
Right. The guy's in the business 20 years. His name is Joe, right?
Yes.
His name of the proprietor there at Esposito's. And seemed like a very decent human being. Unfortunately, for him, it looked even worse. It was exacerbated by the fact that Wine Seer comes in there. He's a guy from a local television station here, Channel 10, that comes in and he has a segment called Dirty Dining where he blasts some restaurant. And you're expecting him to go to some hole-in-the-wall joint there and see roaches crawling on the face of, the owner. And, so some real slime bucket place that you probably wouldn't even frequent to begin with. But unfortunately for this guy, he was the only guy cited that day. And I guess Wine Seer, is sitting in the newsroom and he says, oh, Jesus, man, who can we go and mess with?
Yep.
And, it happened to be Joe's number was up. And, in spite of now, wouldn't you say, hey, has this ever happened to you before? Or what are you planning on doing about this? What's the story here? You would want to get the story before you come blasting in there with cameras going, ha, ha, filth. Look at this, filth. So anyway, the problem is that this guy was the only guy on the docket that day. So Wine Seer says, okay, let's go there. They go there, and the owner, reacted in a very unfavorable way in terms of, it wasn't like he was the modicum of decorum there. And just said, yes, Jeff, I'd be happy to answer your questions. He basically said, hey, get out of here, you motherfucker.
Yes, that's what he did. He didn't handle it like a professional.
Yeah.
But again, like we've talked about repeatedly on Mayo's show, who would?
Yeah.
Good to see you, Jeff. I'm glad you're lurking behind my back.
Hi, Jeff. Yeah. Thanks for coming in the back door with your camera crew and the lights.
Like
and firing off a negative question right at the start here. Like, how do you account for this mess? And meanwhile, the place is immaculate, supposedly.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
he ate there. He's like, yeah, I don't know what the hell they were talking about. The place
So we're
is-
going there today. I mean, it's called Esposito's, and it's on University, just south of 595. So you take 595 to University, and you go south, and it's right there. And we'll be there from 12 to 1 supporting this cat because his business after this story aired, I guess, fell off by 40%. And,
yes.
he's struggling to keep the place moving and keep his employees paid. I mean, the guy's doing, a lot of people are literally feeding off of this.
Yes.
And unfortunately, he's been portrayed as if he was running an operation that was contrary to be advisable in terms of keeping good health. And, it's just not the case. So,
and it literally is one day they're back up. How dirty could it be if it's
yeah.
one day? Like, I mean,
Well, and here's the thing. I respect the fact that the health department. Look, you don't want to be going places and catch botulism or have food poisoning or have insect feces or whatever in your food. I mean, you want to know that these places are clean, and it's not easy because this is a tough environment with the hot, sticky weather that we have here most of the time, and inundated with every type of insect. As we were talking about earlier this morning, the flying palmetto bug. My God, I mean, what kind of creature, what kind of God could there be if there's a flying palmetto bug? Honestly,
mean, vindictive God.
I thought. I mean, if Ron DeSantis was going to do something appropriate, he would name the flying palmetto the state bird. And when they flap, it's like a helicopter, right?
Shirley's from the island, so I presume she'd seen them. But
oh my God,
it's been in our house a couple of times, our old house, and Shirley looked at me with the fear of God in her, and I'm like, "You've never seen one?" Like I'm
it
like,
reminded me, yeah, of I mean, the noise it makes when it flies. It's kind of like when you used to put the baseball cards in the spokes of your bicycle.
I never did that.
And you get that flapping. I mean, it's scary. It really is. And the bug itself, I mean, is the size of like most big screen TVs.
And they come right at you. They're the fear. There's not fear in them. Like they don't give a shit.
Just unreal.
Yeah,
What you have to put up with. I mean, so if you're in the restaurant business, look, there's a pretty good chance you're going to have a bug. And I appreciate the health department going out there and checking on this stuff, or whether meat is being properly refrigerated, 100%. And people are washing their hands after they take a leak. All of that is good. I'm glad people check up on that.
And I appreciate the segment that we said it to Weinster, and I was being sincere. I appreciate the service that they do when it is a service. When you go to a place that keeps failing, they probably shouldn't be giving people food. Right. But if it's the first time in almost 19 years, that's a little different. At least.
Well, and the other part of that is, look, it only happened to the guy once. He corrected the problem right away.
Yep.
So it wasn't like this guy was, some unscrupulous owner that was trying to cut corners on cleanliness and health. And, he was in compliance. Like the next day, he's back up and running. But Weinstein shows up from Channel 10 with his crew, like Mike Wallace, going at some transmission shop. And, gets in there and irritates the guy. And the portrayal, because, I mean, it has an element of sensationalism to it where you see this on TV and you go, oh, my God, this place must be a cesspool.
Yep. He must be like one of those New York car shops that's lying about everything.
Right. And, they're supposed to be putting in a new transmission, and it was something that they fished out of a car in Havana after digging it out of the bottom of the Florida Straits. Unbelievable. This thing will never run again. Wallace was, I mean, if you saw Wallace coming, that was it. I guess Weinstein is in that same mode in the restaurant business here. But I don't think, it's unjust. I mean, the consequences were far outweighing the problem that this man was dealing with. And, and it wasn't out of neglect or anything like that. It just, was an oddball circumstance. So anyway, we're going to be there today supporting this man, Joe.
We're going to do the mail.
Real good guy. And we want to come out there and we're going to eat our faces off, even if you just buy something and take it home.
And I was already coming because we haven't you and I both like this style of Italian.
Yeah.
Mayo, my wife mock it, which is, I guess they're allowed to. I don't understand why I grew up on this Italian.
Yeah.
So we don't go to these places very often. So I've already started going down the menu And the menu is extensive as hell. Like even by an Italian restaurant standards, they have stuff most Italian restaurants don't have. So I've already started pre-ordering in my head. So we're going to be there for a while.
Looking forward to being there. I really am. It's going to be fun today. All right, let's get into the trivia challenge, and we will go do a little overtime and get into the tournament with Scott Spinelli, who really is. Did I get that right, Spinelli?
Yeah, no, he was just. I like calling him coach because he's been a coach for a long time, and
and very knowledgeable. I mean, as I recall, we've had him on before, and probably last year, and he was great. He really knew his stuff. So should be a lot of fun and a lot of basketball being played, all different levels, including the Heat losing last night to the Cleveland Cavaliers, which Lubie expected, by the way.
One of the two.
Cavs favored by 3.5. They win by 4. How about that, Lubie? How about that?
There's your Vegas.
If the line makers were running this country, forget about Ron DeSantis. We don't need you, Ronnie boy. He's trying to get Djokovic into the country now. Have you noticed that? He's trying to get a waiver, anything to attack Joe Biden. All of a sudden, DeSantis is a tennis fan.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't mind seeing Joe. You know what? It is kind of silly at this point, what they have going on. All right, here we go. Into the trivia challenge. And line up if you want to play, 954-417-0070. I might be paraphrasing this quote, but when asked about, and this is dedicated to the Polyman, who we spoke with recently, he's doing fine, and has vowed to come back. Okay. If I ever get that Geezers at Caesars podcast going.
Whether that's the only thing he'll come back for, whatever.
I think he would come back and do the trivia challenge, but I don't know. He's doing well, and so we want to dedicate the game to him, but I don't have an easy baseball one.
Okay.
So we're going to make this easy boxing.
Okay.
All right. And when asked about his very nondescript amateur boxing career, this fighter said, well, I was 0-3 in the amateurs, so the only thing left to do was to turn pro. Was that Tex Cobb, Tex Antoine, Tex Ritter, or Tex-Mex, which, is a reminder that the Mayo Lunchbox comes up at 12 o'clock today. All right, here's the scrambler to decide our first player. All right. One of the regulars, and we're starting to, we're searching for new blood here, but we don't want to ace out the regulars.
I appreciate it.
Ron, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. How are you, Ron?
Good morning, Defo. Let's go with A.
A it is. You have 1 point. All right. I'm going to have to do some maneuvering here.
So your true or false question.
Well, it's right here. Okay. This, when was Josh Rosen playing for the Miami Dolphins? How many years ago was that? You loved the guy, man.
4 or 5 years ago.
Okay. All right. So these questions obviously were written about 5 years ago because the first two of my true false questions involved Josh Rosen. Yeah. Okay. So true or false? Former Dolphins quarterback or one-time Dolphins quarterback Josh Rosen comes from royal stock and is the great-great-great-grandson of John Wharton, for whom the Wharton School of Business is named. True or false?
Let's go true.
That is true. Josh Rosen from royal stock there. All right, you have 1 point. You're in the game. All right, this one I think has a high degree of difficulty. Oh, no, he has 2 points, right?
This is your 3-point question.
Yeah, 3-point question.
I'll focus on that.
All right, on July 24th in 2010 for 3 points, Tampa Bay won in Cleveland for the first time in 5 years, snapping an 18-game losing streak there with a 6-3 win against the Indians. The victory snapped a personal 21-game losing streak in Cleveland for visiting manager Joe Madden that began when he was the interim manager of what major league team? All right. Following all that? Was it the Twins, the Angels, the Mariners, or the Royals?
Let's go Royals.
Well, the Angels would have made sense, right? Because Joe Madden came back and managed the Angels there for several years, managed them right into the ground.
Yes.
As who's the rich Mexican guy that owns the California or the Los Angeles Angels?
Artie Moreno.
Moreno, yeah, man. I mean, is he tired of losing money or what?
So Ron was wrong, right?
Yes, he was incorrect. So here's his 5-point question. You ready?
You have 2 points, Ron. Going for 7.
Going for 7. Is this not going well, Lubie? Is that what you're implying?
People thing of tangenting in the middle of asking the question.
It's new for me.
It's my favorite. Thanks
In
for
the
holding
movie,
it.
this is sports movies. I think this is one of the classics of all time. And Mayo actually knew the guy that wrote this thing, which I think it was a brilliant script and well ahead of its time and something that should be preserved forever in classic gambling movie lore. In the movie Rounders, when Matt Damon asks Sean Turturro to borrow money at the Turkish bath after taking a beating from upstate cops, who does Turturro, playing the character Kanish, say Damon looks like as he walks into the room? Jerry Cooney, Chuck Wepner, Dwayne Bobbick, or Jerry Quarry?
Defo's referenced this a lot if you ever watch our show, which Ron does not do.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh boy, let's go Jerry Cooney.
No,
I mean, all we're viable, but he says, "What happened to you? You look like Dwayne Bobbick."
Bobbick.
Who
Nice
was
try.
another great white hope. All right, Ron Baum's out there
Thanks.
and doesn't have a total worthy of being in the finals. That does not preclude the idea or the notion that he might end up in the finals here, because we've had all kinds of bizarre circumstances on our current edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenger and throughout the history of the show. Yes, Lubie.
I was yelling at my cat, my wife, and you at the same time. It's a fun game I'm playing right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, you're involved in animal control as you're trying to get me to focus on the game itself.
I'm getting
all right. Dial us up 954-417. I got to flick this around here. It would have been nice if my printer worked. That would have made this a hell of a lot easier, Lubie. 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. If Gurggles were here conducting the show, he would no doubt be telling you and extolling the virtues of Perdomo cigars, which I'm not a cigar smoker, but I know they're great because I met Nick Perdomo a long, long time ago when he was just in the infant stages of growing the business of Perdomo cigars. And I couldn't have been more impressed with this guy. He had done some advertising on the radio, so I was a little bit familiar with him. He was at a convention. I was out doing something in Las Vegas, and we're on a red eye together. And he introduced himself, and I thought, wow, this guy is a real gentleman. He is destined for success and has been associated with the program here since its inception with Dave Gurggles Gergely, Perdomo Cigars, which you go anywhere in the world and you will find them featured. I remember being in Puerto Rico, right, which is well known as a cigar haven. And what did they have at the finest cigar shops? Right there in the window. But various editions of the Perdomo cigar. So recognized around the world as one of the great cigars being made. And I think, what is it, Cigar Aficionado magazine had them ranked in the top 5 of cigars anywhere worldwide. And that was years ago.
In this day and age, it was cool because most tobacconists, most cigar shops, you can find them. But this day and age, between their phone number 305-627-6700 or online, you can order them whenever. So even when they're closed, perdomocigars.com, you can always go and get your Perdomo cigar.
That was good. You had the phone number, Louis, man. Thank you. Because
I have it on the screen. You just can't see the screen.
I would have been blanking on that. I don't know what I'm looking at, man. Everything is a blur here at this point. No, I see it right there. Very, very good job by you with our graphics department here on the show. All right, Perdomo Cigars. That was for Dave Gurggles Gergely and the rest of the cigar fans out there. Just a great, great product. And right here, I mean, buy local, as they say. Yes. Right there off the Palmetto and 57th?
Yeah, Hard Miami. Yep.
Yeah. Very, very nice place. All right. We're ready for our next player here. I'll give you the toss-out quote. And naturally a little hard-pressed to come up with these, but another one of my all-time favorites. When asked whether or not he was going to attend an all-star game, and he, was in consideration for being a starter, this former San Diego shortstop said, "If I ain't starting, I ain't departing." Was that Gary Templeton? Gary Coleman, Gary Carter, or Jimmy Carter? Did Jimmy Carter check out yet? He's in hospice.
He's alive. He's alive.
I'm not rooting for his death or anything. I'm an admirer of his.
He's been in hospice for a while, but he is alive.
All right, here's a round of phone scrambler. And it lands on Mike. Mike, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Hey?
Good morning.
Hey is correct. Way to go, Mike. All right, so we're going right back to Josh Rosen for the true-false question. Are you prepared for that?
I love Josh Rosen.
I mean, it's actually, it was interesting to me. All right, Josh Rosen's father is an orthopedic surgeon in California, but also, and this is true or false, at one time was a world-class figure skater and a candidate for 2 U.S. Winter Olympic teams. True or false? Josh Rosen's father, Olympic figure skater.
You made that up, Defo. False.
I did not. Fucking guy was Dick Button. All right.
Yeah,
that's one going for 4 here as I swap this out. All right. Okay. Here we go. This is for 3 points. Golf, very much. I mean, I'm involved in a golf pool here on the TPC. Had to make a choice between John Rahm, Rory McIlroy, or Scotty Scheffler. Who would you have gone with of those 3 to have the best tournament? TPC, Mike. Are you a golf fan?
Scheffler.
Yep, he agreed with me.
I was going to do Scheffler, so I went with McIlroy.
So of course, Defo goes
McIlroy probably missed the cut.
Exactly.
All right. After the famous meltdown of Jean Van de Velde, one of my favorite incidents in all of sports history, on 18 in the final round of the 1999 British Open, the French golfer ended up in a 3-way playoff for the title that featured the eventual winner, Paul Lawrie, and who was the other guy in the playoff there with Van de Velde and Lowry? Was it Tom Watson, Ernie Els, Justin Leonard, or Darren Clark?
Leonard.
It was Leonard. Very nice.
Defo didn't even know the right answer. Good job.
I thought I knew it, but then I had to double check.
For a second.
Because obviously the integrity of the game is at stake here, Mr. Goodell.
You have 4 points. This is your 5-point question, Mike, to really put a stranglehold on the lead.
Have a shot at 9 here. In 2015, Philadelphia's Cole Hamels no-hit the Cubs, becoming the first pitcher to throw a no-no against the Cubbies in 50 years.
Wow.
When what pitcher hurled a perfecto against them in 1965?
Okay.
Was that Sandy Koufax, Juan Marichal, Bob Gibson, or Tom Seaver?
Jeez.
Kopech.
Bingo.
Nice.
This Mike was sharp today, man. I don't know that those were the easiest questions. What do you think, Lubie?
Wow, those were solid. Mike, good job by you. Hang around. You'll probably be in our finals.
Wow, 9 points for Mike. That is excellent.
Yeah,
all right, we told you about the virtues of Hialeah Park. It's a great place to go. We're going to come back and play some more people here in the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Going to do a little overtime on the program here today, and we're going to take you past 9 o'clock with Scott Spinelli talking about the NCAA tournament. Of course, the conference tournaments are still very much in play as we just gotten started with the big conferences, and they've had some of their schmanky teams play off already. The big boys get in action. What is Miami plays today?
Yeah, they take on Wake Forest.
And they take on Wake Forest, who was life and death to beat Syracuse, which was not a very good team this year. I say the Canes win it, and if the Canes win, they may play. And I said this yesterday in Eric because I saw some brackets, but I guess they were doing a projection. There's a possibility that they would meet Duke in the next round.
Yeah, Duke is right next to them in the brackets. They both had a double bye.
Yeah. All right. So, they have a good chance to get, a nice piece of work in against Wake Forest and then, come back. And they would take on possibly Duke. I don't know. Who is Duke playing? Duke's playing somebody also decent, are they not? I think Duke was like a 4 seed or something in the tournament. Anyway, that's all happening.
They play Pittsburgh.
And you know that the people at Hialeah Park are going to be solidly behind the Hurricanes because they've been long-time University of Miami charitable backers. I mean, they've gotten involved in a lot of stuff there, especially some of the medical stuff and research that they do. Fantastic. I mean, that's just part of the deal at Hialeah Park. I'm very much immersed in the community. This is not some corporate casino where, they give you $10 in free play and then spank you on the rear end as you go out there broke. These are guys that actually I want you to be part of the Hialeah Park family. And what a party they put on there when they had the fights. That thing they do on the outside bar with the DJ on Friday nights.
That's so cool.
That is no joke. I mean, that is as good as anything that you would find in Las Vegas or any of the big places where you're paying like $200 and standing on a line that looks like you're going to Space Mountain at Disney World. At Disney World. I mean, and I'm thinking, why would people line up to get in there to see like Paris Hilton spin records? But I've seen it, and they at Hialeah Park, nice and easy, casual. Everybody's got room to dance around outside. Beautiful time. I mean, the evenings couldn't be any more lovely than they've been of late here in South Florida. So why not spend some time outside there, dancing your fanny off and gambling your brains out at Hialeah Park, where you can go in the casino there and have an outstanding chance to win. Andy alluded to this on the chat line. He was there when Steve Calabro broke down how they pay out on the slots, and Hialeah is in the same kind of category as you would find maybe in Las Vegas or Atlantic City, not some of these unregulated places you have here where you don't know if they're even giving people half their money back. Exactly. As they churn it through the machines. So you got a great chance to win. You got the poker room. You've got all kinds of good stuff going on there. Champion simulcasting room, among my favorite. Great food and drink all over the place. Not at ballpark prices. It's all happening at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, more of the challenge coming up, and then we'll take you past 9 o'clock today here on the Defo Show. Revolution will be televised today, Lubie, as Gil Scott Heron.
Yes.
It will be televised at 12 o'clock on South Florida Live and on Facebook, the Let's Eat South Florida page, the Mike Mayo Lunchbox. Esposito's, we invite everybody to come out. This poor guy, I mean, I just got hammered by Jeff Weinseer in Channel 10. And I mean, you know what? Don't you have to use some discretion, even if you're an attack journalist, sort of?
Yes.
Don't you have to say, hey, you know what? This really wouldn't be fair to this guy to bury him like this on this one violation where, you know, in essence, they're telling you, hey, fix this up or we're going to come back and it's going to get serious.
Look, if it's a Bernie Madoff and it's clear that the guy's a scumbag, fine. But this guy's a restaurateur, employs a lot of people. And
a lot of people depend on this guy.
Has been consistent for years and years and years and years. He
putting out good food, too.
Like, to me, you give a little, if you have to do a product for that week, if you have to find some restaurant, they're the only one, fine. I'm really happy about that, but fine. But then let it be known don't just work it in the middle somewhere.
But it's a way to go. I mean, there's a natural sensationalism to the presentation of Dirty Dining. It's like they play that music, like, right? And then they show like a bunch of, people, that are choking to death and dying. They need the Heimlich maneuver. And then here comes Weinseer. He pops in through the back door, the White Knight. He's going to save the world. And, they grab some poor guy that is, just trying to do business that night. And, he's already had the thing where he had to shut down for a day and now is recovered from that. And here comes this guy through the door to go, hey, you know what? You're fucked.
Yeah, screw you.
Wow. And it's really hurt this man's business. So we're going there today. And I'm proud of Mayo for leading the charge here on this.
I love this. Please come out. We'd really appreciate it. We'll be there doing the Mayo Lunchbox 12 to 1. So please come out. We'll be there before. We'll be there after a little bit. We'd love to see you there representing. Help Esposito's get back on its feet.
I'm not going to take exception with anything that Mike says today on the show.
Yes, you will. What are you talking about? The first 5 seconds you're going to.
I love giving him grief. I really do. He gets hostile from time to time.
This is easy.
Yeah.
He's an easy.
I think he's legitimately hostile towards me. I'm just having fun. No, we'll be out there, and I'm proud to be a part of this thing today because I really feel this is the kind of cause that we would have celebrated in the hippy dippy era, right? Let's help this poor guy out that got picked on out of nowhere just by arbitrary bad luck, and Weinstein unapologetic about burying a man's business.
What's funny is he wasn't even mad that they were there. He was mad how they handled it. Like the fact that they didn't even sit down with him or just say, hey, we just want to check on you. He would have been like, okay. Yeah. He said he messed up. He
comes in through the bathroom window, man, like he's in a Beatles song, this guy. Yeah. All right, we're gonna run here for a second here. I'm gonna dig up more questions. I have them. I think I have them, right?
Okay.
We have it. Your signed affidavit right here, Mr. Pentangeli.
Exactly.
And we'll continue to play. Mike, outstanding job at 9 points. He's in the lead. Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge continues in a moment. How about
the time?
It's 8:08.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously. Friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Mr. Pentangeli, were you a member of the Corleone family? Did you serve under Capo regime under Vito Corleone, also known as the Godfather?
I never knew no Godfather.
Mr. Pentangeli, you are contradicting a sworn statement you previously made to me and signed. I ask you again, sir, here and now under oath, were you at any time a member of a crime organization headed by Michael Corleone?
I don't know nothing about that. Oh, I was in the olive oil business with his father, but that was a long time ago, that's all.
We have a sworn affidavit. We have it. Your sworn affidavit that you murdered on the orders of Michael Corleone. Do you deny this confession?
Look, the FBI guys, they promised me a deal. So I made up a lot of stuff about Michael Corleone, because that's what they wanted. But it was all lies. Everything. And I kept saying, Michael Corleone did this, and Michael Corleone did that. So I said, yeah, sure.
It's now time for the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. A hybrid edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Although always great to be with you here on South Florida Live. Jeff DeForest and one Michael Lubie Lubitz. We have Mike with 9 points. He's in the lead. We'll see if we can find a worthy challenger here as we get into tournament time, and we will go, straight from our final or our first four. It's first four in, first two out. Is the way we work it. If you were going to do a Lunardi, I think. Does that Lunardi guy know what he's talking about, Lubie? I really. I'm not sure. I mean, what do you think? Joe Lunardi.
I don't think it. I mean, people follow him, but I don't think it does.
All right. Well, Andy read my mind. I mean, I was starting to take on startling similarities to Andy in terms of thinking and background and all of that stuff. And tell you the truth, it's a little bit frightening. It is. But he read my mind because he knew that as I was giving out these quotes, that one of them had to come, and the classic of all time, I believe, maybe the greatest sports quote ever, from our dear departed friend. I can't believe it's been over 10 years since he left us.
That's crazy.
And I had so many good times with this guy. It was infrequent, and yet every time I was around him, I always had a blast. The late, great Bert Sugar, who, was the boxing guy with the cigar and a fedora, and, was featured on virtually anything. If they were talking about boxing in any capacity, any boxing movie, Bert was going to be a part of the thing. And he was brilliant, and he wrote like a couple of 100 books. The only guy that didn't really like him was Sandy. Remember Sandy?
Yeah, Sandy had a weird thing about him, which I don't get. Everyone loved Bert Sugar.
Yes. I mean, you couldn't not like him. I mean, just, he was just one of those guys. I mean, a real Damon Runyon-esque type of character. Anyway, so this is the next quote here. And if you'd like to join us, it's 954-417-0070. And Andy popped it up here on our chat line. Who said, when asked about his lifestyle, I would rather be a good liver than have a good liver? Bert Sugar, Bert Backrack, who just checked out, Bert Lancaster, or Bert and Ernie? And here's a random phone scrambler. And look at that. Speaking of great thespians, here is, I said thespians, Lubie. Here is Pat. Pat, you're on the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, gents. Hey.
Good morning, Mr. Pat.
How'd that thing go in Daytona? What happened there? Did you ever get involved in the shoot?
I think it was in Cocoa.
Cocoa Beach, yeah.
Cocoa Beach and Cape Canaveral. It was
a lot of fun. I saw a shoot up there.
Okay, good. I mean, and is this going to be something we can see? Was it a commercial? Was it a movie? What were you involved in?
A movie. It's
a movie
called Project Button.
Project Button?
Project what, huh?
Artemis. Artemis.
All right. We'll go with that. All right, you have 1 point, Pat. You're in a game. You want another Josh Rosen true false, Libby? One more?
Definitely.
Yeah, all right.
Yes.
Let's stick with.
Right.
We're on a roll here with this. Here we go.
I sure do.
Former Dolphins quarterback or one-time Dolphins quarterback Josh Rosen is known as the Chosen One, or was known as the Chosen One, and has embraced the nickname with several businesses that he's invested in, including a string of bagel shops in Los Angeles known as Chosen One Bagels. True or false?
I'll say it's true.
No, that's 100% false.
No, that's 100% false, man. I mean, if anything, the woke society would have shut him down on that thing.
He's not that Jewish.
Said, hey, that's ridiculous. All right, you have one going for 4 here.
Yes.
And let's go back to 1962. Is that okay? And this does not involve the original Mets. In 1962, Pat, Stan Musial hit a 2-run homer against the Dodgers that gave him 1,862 career runs batted in, giving him the National League record for career runs batted in at that time. Whose mark did he eclipse? Was that Double X, Jimmy Fox, Hank Goldberg's brother, Hank Greenberg, Ty Cobb, or Mel Ott?
I'd say Mel Ott.
You would be correct.
Nice.
Mel Ott, man. I mean, to pull Mel Ott out of your fanny is absolutely fantastic.
You're second place. This is going for to tie.
4 going for time for the lead here. And we're going to go even further back. Is that okay, Pat?
Yeah.
We're just in 62, so why not go further back into the distant past?
Let's go to fencing.
In 1930, the Philadelphia Phillies did what was unusual 2 times in the same game in a 14-1 win over the Cleveland Indians. They pulled off a triple steal, made 2 triple plays. Oh, okay. Here are the choices. I messed this up completely, Pat, and I apologize. I should move on to a different question. You want a new question?
No, I want this question. Just rewind. Now I
want. Okay. In 1930, the Philadelphia Phillies did what was unusual 2 times in the same game in a 14-1 victory over the Cleveland Indians. So they did this unusual thing twice in the same game. Okay.
Yes,
did they A, pull off a triple steal, B, make 2 triple plays in the field, C, had pitchers hit grand slams, or D, scored runs while the infield fly rule was involved? What did they do twice in one game?
Pitchers hitting grand slams.
No, that's incorrect. You could play that. Believe it or not, they pulled off 2 triple steals.
Oh, wow.
Can you imagine? That means that involves stealing home twice, and the other 2 guys that were on base with the bags juiced ended up stealing bases as well, which would be relatively easy since the play was going to be at the plate there. All right, Pat, you have 4 points, though.
Do we want to?
That one might come under questioning from the commission, though. Didn't that sound a little far-fetched? What's that, Lubie?
Do we want to play another person, or are we going to the finals? I'm confused.
Let's play another person if we can. Can we manage to do that?
Yeah,
let's do that. It's a nice even number there. We play a quartet of people here. All right, so we have Mike with 9, Pat with 4. You have to eclipse 4. We're getting a dead heat with 4 to make it to the finals. You can dial us up 954-417-0070. 954-417-0070. It's the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge, also brought to you by, and if Gurggles was here, he'd be, as I say, extolling the virtues of Perdomo cigars. He absolutely loves them, and he is a cigar aficionado, Gurggles. I've known him to be smoking cigars even before he connected with Nick Perdomo and the people at Perdomo Cigars. I mean, this is a family-run, owned, and operated business that exploded on the international scene because they were just getting such rave reviews. Nicaraguan, grown Cuban seed tobacco. He has his own tobacco fields there. He doesn't have to worry about any interference from the government or anything like that. And just does a tremendous job. Was rolling cigars out of the trunk of his car, Nick was, to get the thing started, and then blossomed into something that is just absolutely magnificent. One of the leading businesses here in South Florida. And, connecting with people all around the world. Perdomo Cigars Dave Gurggles Gergely's favorite, and he would no doubt be passing them out if he ran into you anywhere at the racetrack or on the golf course. So check them out for yourself. Perdomo cigars are really among the finest that are made anywhere worldwide. All right, back into the game we go. We'll play one more player, and we will take you past 9 o'clock today here on the Defo Show. Is this moving along at any kind of a reasonable pace, Lubie, or is it just a complete disaster? What would you say?
Feels like it's moving fine to me. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, all right, because it's a little awkward here, but nonetheless, we appreciate you guys bearing with us without Gurggles. It shows you, you know what? You take Brunson out of the Knicks lineup, they fall apart. They fall completely apart. A disaster. All right, so here we go. Our next set of questions going to begin with a quote from this man, and this was also among my favorites. It seems like a lot of the great quotes came out of the boxing world, and this one especially struck me. Talking about the fighter Andrew Galata, who often was questioned for his or about his work ethic. This fabled Hall of Fame trainer said, "Listen, he gets up to work out and run every morning at 6 a.m. no matter what time it is," which was almost Jerry Coleman-esque there. I mean, in terms of malaprops. Was that Lou Duva, Lou Costello?
That's great.
Lucy or Lou DiBella. And here's a random phone scrambler.
That's classic.
And it lands on, an apt way as we seek new players to finish this thing off. As we have Lenny the Chronic. You could not have a more regular player. How many years you been playing the game, Lenny?
Almost 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Very nice, man. You've always been a gentleman. All right. You want to go with Duva on that?
NBA.
Okay, very good. All right, here we go. And let me just switch this out here for a second. I got to go to another mouse and another.
Your true or false question, Lenny. That would be
Yes.
also worth 1 point and get you to choose.
Would it be good to get off Josh Rosen? What do you think?
Just stay with him. Just hammer the truth.
All right, how about this? I'm going to give you one that's right up your alley here, Lenny, and also it gives us a chance to promote Mike Mayo's Lunchbox, where the revolution is on as we go to support Esposito today. Come on out, Lenny, if you're in the area.
Come on, if you can.
You get a chance, man. Yeah, we'll buy you a slice of pizza or something.
Yeah.
Support this guy. That's University just south of 595. Esposito's Pizza, 12 to 1 today.
My sister. I got a thing with my sister.
Okay. All right. All right. True or false, Lenny, for 1 point. The Dodger dog is a known ballpark delicacy and is so loved in Los Angeles, it was featured in a cookbook by actor Vincent Price called A Treasury of Great Recipes. The Dodger dog. True or false?
It's true.
That is true. Yeah.
Nice.
Farmer John, man. You can hear Vince Scully from the grave talking about Farmer John. I tell you what. I would imagine the Dodger dogs were actually Farmer John, were they not? Or was that one of those deals where, the Dodger organization said nobody would eat this crap? So.
I think they were Farmer John hot dogs.
I'm thinking, yeah, Farmer John. And they were great. The Dodger dog is possibly... I mean, you get some argument from people at different ballparks there. Certainly none from here, where the hot dogs have no distinction whatsoever, correct?
Yeah, it's the same.
Horrendous, right? They come in the aluminum foil wrap.
Yep.
They were made 8 hours ago, boiled in Hudson River water, and absolutely disgusting. Non-distinct for like $8.
100%.
That's criminal, man. I mean, you would think that they would get that together. All right. You have... did I give him that thing? Yeah.
We're on our 3-point question.
He got it right. Yeah.
Points
Okay,
right.
here we go.
Or 3-point
All right,
question.
one of your favorite topics here, Lenny, harness racing. After being awarded to Stanley Dancer in 1968 when the award was introduced, harness driver Hervé Filion won the Driver of the Year award 6 times from 1969 to 1974. What driver won the award in 75 to break Filion's consecutive win run? Was that Carmine Abatello, Ron Waples, Joe O'Brien, or Stanley Dancer?
Let's go, O'Brien.
How the hell did you know that? Were you at Yonkers that night or something? What the fuck, Lenny? Nobody could have gotten that.
Yeah, so
That
Lenny's
was impossible.
in second place by himself. If he gets this, he'll be in first. He'll have a sweeper and he'll be in first place.
All right, here we go. Okay.
5-point question, Lenny.
Shane Lowry, who won the British Open a couple of years back, had only one other PGA victory in his career. What was that other tournament victory? Was it the 2016 Quad Cities Open, the 2015 Bridgestone Invitational, the 2015 St. Jude's Classic, or the 2014 John Deere Classic?
Go A.
You know what? That would have been a blind guess for me also. That was incorrect, Lenny. The answer was B. But
either way, you are in the finals, so hold on until I get Mike. And you're in the finals.
Hold on, and we're going to have a spinoff here. Now, Lenny won a spinoff for the first time in 372 opportunities.
It's not a spinoff. It's not a spinoff because remember, Mike.
Oh, you got the true false correct. Yeah, that's right. He had 5 points.
Lenny himself was in the finals regardless. He was just going for the number 1 seed. Now he goes in as the number 2 seed versus Pat. I'm going to go get Pat on the line while you talk about our dear friends
at Hialeah Park.
Or Hialeah, or
Jimmy well, you know what? Let me tell you about Jimmy Johnson.
Big show. Jimmy Johnson's at all, and we're trying to get out.
Yeah, wow. I mean, is anything happening with that, Lubie?
No.
Getting close. Negotiations are at a standstill.
Maybe positive vibes and discussions.
They paid for it. I mean, we're willing to come down there. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I love being around Jimmy Johnson, especially at this time in his life, because, I mean, he's just... it's so much fun to hear the stories that he has to tell. And, of course, he has the book out, Swagger, with Dave Hyde. And we're going to try, I don't know what the chances are of getting Dave to come down there on that same day. We're going to try and bring Mike Mayo down there because there's always great food and drink at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. I mean, it'd be worth like just a one-day trip from Brown. I think it's only like about a 90-minute drive if you're, at 2 hours at the most, but be well worth it because you transition into another world. When you get to mile marker 104 on the Overseas Highway in Key Largo, you talk about just an absolutely peaceful environment, and yet one that is also laced with excitement. It's hard to bring that about, but they manage to do it, just like they do at Hialeah Park. You have the tranquility, and then at the same time, you have this electricity that's going on, and that's kind of how it is at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Great food. I mean, a variety of things on the menu that is absolutely amazing, and a lot of incredible offerings that you will not find, Lubie, anywhere else. We'll have to ask Mayo if you can go to a place and you cannot find anything similar to this dish anywhere else. Does that not, if it's really well done, does that not make it worthy of maybe at least 3.5 stars on the Mayo 4-star system?
Oh, no. I mean, the restaurant overall, definitely, I would put right around a 4-star. I mean, the pizza for sure.
Unbelievable. Yeah, just for the Italian Fisherman Pizza alone, which is such a unique item. And I thought they were going to have like a couple of those cocktail shrimp that you get at the Circus when they had the shrimp cocktail for 99 cents. Maybe sprinkle, some calamari. That's always pretty popular, right? I overdose the thing with unbelievable, man. Like a Maine lobster is boiled, live, right on top of that thing. They just put the whole tail right on there. It's absolutely fantastic. That was one of the best things I've ever eaten in my life. The Italian Fisherman Pizza at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. You're going to love it. It's a great place to stop by. You can relax all day, Saturday and Sunday, bands all day. And they have the sports bar there, and it's just a great hang. You get the whole Keys vibe while you're not necessarily having to travel all the way down to Key West, like the southernmost point, only to be disappointed that Sloppy Joe's doesn't actually serve a Sloppy Joe. You could probably get one at Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill. Mile marker 104, the Overseas Highway in Key Largo. All right, we're ready for the finals. And fortunately, I have one question left here on this sheet.
Well, thank God.
Not sure how solid it is, but we have Lenny and we have Mike. Guys, call out your name if you want to answer the question right away. If nobody does that, we'll offer multiple choice. First person to call out his name gets first chance. We go back and forth until we have a winner for the championship and a game dedicated to the Polyman of this week's edition of the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge. Let's go back to 1947.
Oh, there you go. Yesterday.
Just around the corner there, a few years before my birth. On July 24th, 1947, the great Jackie Robinson did what for the first time in a Major League game? A, anybody? All right, here's multiple choice. What did Jackie Robinson do for the first time in a Major League game on July 24th, 1947? Did he pinch run? Did he pinch hit? Did he steal home? Or did he hit a grand slam?
Mike.
Yes, Mike.
Mike, what was it?
Stole home.
The obvious one.
Nice.
What clip do you always see of Jackie Robinson? Yeah. Stole home for the first time on that day. Mike, a very deserving winner. Lenny runs second, but he'll probably be at Landlubbers tonight with the Chronics, trying to compete for. Do you give away a Landlubbers gift certificate as the prize at Landlubbers?
Yes, we do. Yes.
So what do? Just bring a stack and hand them out to the Chronics as soon as they arrive?
Supply them, thank God. But yes, it's the Chronics have loaded up on. I think every week they pay with partial gift certificate for sure.
All right. Well, I hope that went well for you guys. It was a bit of a mess for me. What I noticed is, the motor skills, the mental motor skills are just not there anymore to keep score, keep track, and then fish out these questions from the distant past.
Which is perfectly fine. That's what I'm here for.
While sitting in a somewhat awkward position there and trying to read off a computer screen where, I mean, it would be easier to read the racing form than to read off this with no light. Which it's still something that people marvel at. That's a sign that you're getting older too. When none of your friends can read the racing form without glasses, not even glasses. Like Big Al is using a pair of binoculars to read the racing form now. Just he used to rent the pair and go up there at Gulfstream and watch from the clubhouse from that second level. You rent a pair of binoculars there. Man, I mean, how old fashioned is that, Lubie? I don't even think anybody looks out at the track live anymore.
No, I was gonna say Mayo literally looks on his phone when the track's
on his phone like this. I think I have it.
Like the track's there. Yeah, like Mayo, it's there.
He's morphing into Hank too. He's like, is that the 2?
He does it all the time.
Yeah, Mike, that's a 2, but it's unfortunately got a 1 in front of it. It was a 12, my friend. He is a little mashugana when it comes to those bets on the phone. Yeah, no, that's crazy stuff.
It makes me all.
All right, 12 o'clock today. The Revolution is on. It will be televised. That's Esposito's Pizza. Is it called Pizza or Esposito's?
It's Esposito's Pizza Bar and Grill, I think, and restaurant.
Okay. Looking forward to that. Then we're going to help this guy Joe out. I mean, his business has been crushed by Jeff Weinseer of Channel 10 here locally in South Florida, and we feel it was grossly unjustified.
Yep.
And yet there was no remorse whatsoever. I mean, absolutely, no contrition whatsoever there on the part of Weinseer, who smugly said to us, well, one violation is more than you should have. And I'm
Which
like,
is garbage.
The whole idea is to correct the situation.
Well, he was my favorite look. And again, we don't want to say anyone's corrupt. We don't want to say anyone. But when he's like, well, this place was open for 60 years and they never had one. Who knows who they're friends with? Who knows? Maybe they're cool.
Maybe they just got lucky and never got nailed,
I don't know. I'm not trying to make an excuse for the dude. Look, the Joe guy didn't. The Joe guy owned it.
Yeah.
He said, look, we had issues and I get it. We're doing what we can to fix things. But should they be thrown away because of one time? That's our saying.
And Weinstein has to realize that there's a sensationalistic element to breaking in the back door of a restaurant, confronting the owner, and telling him his place is a trash bin.
Well,
according to the state,
it's not called questionable dining. It's not called, oh darn, we feel bad for that place dining. It's called dirty dining, meaning that restaurant is dirty, and they will always be. That's what it means. It means. This is just a dirty place and you should never go there. And he can say whatever he wants, but that's what you can do the clean plate bullshit later on. That's what people take from it is this place is dirty. Why would I ever go there ever again? Which is not decent.
And the guy has no recourse. I mean, he can't sue Channel 10 because, they're reporting an incident that actually occurred where there was a state inspection and they said, hey, you've got to correct these problems here. We'll come back in a day and see if you have.
And they did.
But think about that for a second. The magnitude of, I mean, if the state's giving you 1 day to correct this stuff and you do, and they allow you to reopen, then obviously you're in major compliance with the regulations at that stage. And, look, you would think that they would come back, at some future time and see if the same problem, was reoccurring on a regular basis. And if it happened a couple of times, you would say, all right, maybe this guy just isn't doing it right. But that was really unfortunate. All right, we'll be out there today, and we're going to try and eat as much as we can. And unlike our usual tradition, I think we're going to dig into our pockets and pay for the food today.
I'm going to say nothing. I'm open to paying. I'm open to trying to help Esposito's Joe lay as much as we can because it
all right,
seems
so
like
you're looking for some freebies there. The poor guy's
100%.
going out of business.
Well,
all right.
the crap out of it. That's our bartering.
Is that how it works? I mean, have you no heart whatsoever, man?
Look, I'll pay. I'm
as disappointed as I am that David Faraday is now announcing on the Live Tour. You may even have eclipsed, that by looking for a freebie at a place that we're trying to help stay in business. Nice. All right. We'll come back with more on that note. Shows you that we have no shame. We'll come back with more on that note in a moment. Now that.
The time.
That's an Albert Castillo song. Speaking of Albert, whose music plays in the background there. And, it's been playing incessantly since we've been taking 20 minutes to get to this break. But his song, Have You No Shame. I wonder if we can get the rights to that. Because that would be more applicable to this show than just about anything. All right, coming back. It's 8:33. Play the ponies in style at Champions, the outstanding simulcasting room at beautiful Hialeah Park. Yes, the grand old lady of thoroughbred racing has never been more vibrant, and you can wager on the races from the top tracks around the country while enjoying a cocktail at the Brass Rail Bar or any of the fine food served throughout the facility. If poker is your game, you're covered in style, and you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette, in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
Hey folks, Tony Segreto here. Since day one, Catholic Health Services has been part of Old School. And since we've started letting people know about them, it's changed their lives. You see, Catholic Health Services, while being recognized as one of the top places for stroke rehab in the country, it's also about a group of people who not just excel in what they do, from the doctors to the nurses to the therapist, on and on and on. It's how they do what they do every single day that separates them from the pack. They do it with a passion, unmatched, and the inclusion of family in every step of the process. Trust me when I tell you this. If you want the best, unmatched rehab with a special group of skilled, caring people, there is truly only one place, and that one place is Catholic Health Services.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubber's Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. First of all, they're not only open for delivery and pickup. All you have to do is go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both pickup and free delivery. Their hours have changed a little bit. Monday through Thursday from 3:30 to 10, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11:30 to 10. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers, Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't get your question.
You were a coach that you coached all kinds of teams. You had teams that...
Hey, say it in English. Got it?
Enjoy your trip to work with lots of laughs thanks to Defo and Lubie. Now on the Defo Show.
All right, welcome back to the show. We'll be with you after 9 o'clock today as we have a little overtime session going with Scott Spinelli, who Lubie calls a coach. This guy is on the Believe Podcast Network and does a fine job there. College basketball analyst and really has some tremendous insights. So looking forward to talking to Scott Spinelli as we try to formulate some kind of strategy. I really haven't gotten a feel for betting a tournament yet, Lubie. I mean, can you really put your money on Furman to win an opening round game? I'm not sure. The weenie teams have qualified. We're seeing excellent action. I mean, this Wake Forest-Syracuse game was wild yesterday. And Jimmy B, I mean, talk about a dagger. He goes down. And that had to be, though, I mean, it would have been tough to justify if he had won the tournament, no? He wins the ACC tournament, gets the automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. How could you let the guy go, even after 47 years at that stage? So do you think the brass at Syracuse were extremely happy to see that kid sink that shot for Wake Forest?
They're like cheering. Yeah.
Yeah, because it didn't take them long to make a decision on whether Jimmy B was going to retire or not.
They probably talked. I mean, look, I'm sure it was forced in a sense because he has said he's going to leave when he wants to.
Yeah.
So then he's leaving this year.
He just said that like last week, like, hey, I'll retire when I feel like it.
Yeah, so that's incongruous. Like, I'm sure they were pressuring him, but the dude's in his late 70s and they have fallen off. It's a similar thing with Hamilton, where Hamilton's going to get another year because they were good up until like last year. Like,
yes,
it hasn't been good for like 5 years. But after that, Hamilton, he's Hamilton's in great shape, but he's old.
He looks great. I mean, for his age, which you don't like to use that qualifier, but and if anybody looks great for his age, it's Leonard Hamilton, that basketball coach at FSU. Yeah. Former Miami coach. He looks the same as he did when he was coaching at Miami. I mean, that hasn't changed a bit, right?
Not even a little.
Had he been president, however, I mean, you see how that ages almost anyone, except for Donnie Trump. He looks the same.
Well,
Same hideous, look that he had when he came in.
Like, how can you get worse?
Right? I mean, you're thinking Terry Forster there, you fat tub of goo. I don't want to get involved in any of that.
With Biden, Biden looks the same. He was old and pretty fat.
Yeah, he looks pretty feeble.
You can't get that much older when you already look old.
Biden would not be a guy that you would think of right away if you looked at Jimmy Johnson's book title of Swagger. It's not like he, possesses any great swagger. You're hoping he makes it up the stairs. You really are. But look, we're very divided in just about everything. So whatever good Biden does is going to be ignored, and the Republicans are going to be screaming that it's awful. And then you ask them, "So what's your idea?" And they say, "Well, we don't know. We don't have a plan."
Yeah, pretty much.
I like Ron DeSantis getting on the tennis beat. How about that? I mean, he doesn't have enough to busy himself with. He's petitioning. He's insulting. He's calling Biden all kinds of names. Now, the weird thing is, on May 11th, that whole tenet that you have to be vaccinated to enter this country is going to be lifted anyway.
Well, that's what's fun about these things is like, because that happened to us. They were getting rid of the masks like on this date, and it was like, okay, it was like March, and we had a flight in April, and they were making it, I guess, May. Something's about May. After this day, May 5th, you won't have to wear a mask anymore. I'm like, okay, so you're telling us, it doesn't fucking matter. We don't need to wear. Why do I need to wear it in April? Like, what's the difference between April and May? Yeah. What's that month?
Well, you said this yesterday, and I believe it to be true. I mean, perhaps if COVID and you have it and it's raging out of control, I mean, does that make you more likely to infect somebody else? And have it be more contagious than if you had been vaccinated and maybe it's not raging out of control. As safe as I thought I was, which I wasn't dodging places. I still ended up getting it like 3 years after the fact.
Yes.
Which it wasn't overwhelming. The people that argue that, the vaccine didn't do any good. See, everybody got it anyway. It certainly wasn't overwhelming for me to deal with. So I guess. I don't know if that's attributable to the vaccine. I don't know if they've ever made that connection, but I would think yes to that. Would you not?
Well, this vaccine wasn't the polio or the measles vaccine where you get the vaccine, you're not going to get the thing. Look, they need years to do that. This vaccine or vaccines, the idea was it's going to lessen the effects.
I was glad they came up with something at the time. That's for sure. Yeah.
It has lessened the effects. However, it has been proven that it doesn't lessen your ability to spread it. So then what the fuck does having the vaccine have to do with him? I guess it's become a personal thing. And I'm all about you do what you want with your life. I'm going to do what I want with my life. They're not letting people in who aren't vaccinated. I don't get, especially now.
Doesn't make any difference, you're saying. All right.
Weird. Yeah, I just don't get that.
Yeah, I mean, as long as he doesn't have it right now, I don't know.
And they're not testing. They're not testing for COVID. You don't need to have a COVID.
Oh, you don't even have to have a test.
No. So then what the hell?
So what's the point?
Yeah, I don't get it.
All right. I mean, but Ron DeSantis taking up that cause there. I mean, there's not enough on his plate there. He's campaigning for the Joker, which I wouldn't mind seeing a Joker in the Miami Open. I'm going down there one day. If Joker happened to be on a schedule, would I check out his match, see the greatest player possibly? You could easily make the case he's the greatest of all time at this stage. Has an equivalent number of majors and slams as Rafael Nadal. He will, I think, easily eclipse that if he gets to play in these tournaments, which you would have to think that's naturally going to come about as well. I mean, the Miami Open, a nice prelude to some of the stuff that's coming up. But if Joker could beat the entire field at the Australian Open on a bum leg, think about that.
Yeah.
And make it look easy in the process. I mean, a tennis player with a pulled hamstring, that's not a thing that would necessarily be favorable towards winning 7 matches to win a Grand Slam event. So, I mean, and he did it with relative ease. So I'm assuming he's going to win 4 or 5 more of these things before he retires. He's not that old, right?
No, he's in his early 30s. He was a young one of the group.
And remarkable. I mean, that he's able to beat these guys because there's so much talent out there on the pro tennis tour. It's just amazing. They probably go the men easily go like 20 deep in potential winners, and yet it's the same guys all the time. It's incredible. What happened to Kyrgios? Is he out injured or something? I haven't seen him play.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Much this year. Kyrgios, he looked like he was primed to maybe win one of these slam events sometime during the season. All right, we have the players out there, and it's a disaster already. Jim Sarney, I went with McIlroy over John Rahm and Scotty Scheffler. And he goes on double bogeys the first hole.
I love that.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he's +7. And I'm like, did it even start yet? Are they just giving him a set?
No, they started like 7:45 this morning.
How the hell is he already over?
Let me see. He asked me who else I have. It won't matter if this guy misses the cut. I mean, this is my big guy. And one of the other guys is likely to, win the tournament or certainly be in very significant contention here. Let me see here what I got. Oh, this was a mass text here. All right. I got to find the other one here.
You don't even know.
All right. Here are my other players. All right. I had to go from this, 7 different lists here and pick these guys. And here we have it. Okay, so I have McIlroy, and that was a choice over Rahm or Scheffler, or like a dozen other guys. But those were the 3 most prominent names there. I have Scheffler. All right, is that how you pronounce it, Scotty Scheffler?
Yes.
No, not Scheffler. Scheffel. I have Scheffel.
Oh,
Shoffley. Shoffley is how you pronounce it. Yeah, Dave Chappelle. I have Shoffley, Xander Shoffley. I have Spieth, who is in good form. Spieth, although he's a roller coaster ride. Spieth. Yes. He's either in the water or, he's making some nobody makes more trouble shots than Jordan Spieth, who, unfortunately had fallen off, but I'm always rooting for him to come back. I always lose with Jordan Spieth, but I pick him for every tournament. I always lose with this guy.
Well, for the time that he's going to win, it'd be annoying he wins and then you don't have him.
I took this weird guy, Thigala, over a bunch of other prominent names. Thigala. He seemed to be in good form, a weird-looking guy for the PGA Tour. He does not look the type. I mean, I don't know if he's of Indian descent or something. I'm not sure if Mayo ran into him at Tech and Spice. But Thigala I have. Lowry is always, usually pretty steady in these events. And S.W. Kim. What do you think, Lubie?
Kim hasn't even hit. That's the problem. It's not even 9 yet. A lot of people still haven't teed off.
So no, that's okay. I mean, to be out of it, though, with McIlroy, a double bogey on the first hole?
Yeah, I don't even see McIlroy.
Oh, my God. I'll look it up.
He's moving up the thing. He's +1.
+1. Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's not. It's how my man Ricky Fowler +1.
+1.
That's not
yeah, but a double bogey on the opening hole while you're playing in front of Rahm and Scheffler. Unbelievable. Come on, Rory. Take that Titleist and shove it where the sun don't shine. It's amazing how you love a guy 1 second and then you bet money on him and lose, or a team, and then you can't stand him, right? All of those Philadelphia fans that were leaving the casino there, as I said, many on a stretcher, some in body bags. And they're like, yeah, you know what? The Eagles fucking suck, man. I hate them. So you're wearing like a Jaworski jersey to a casino here, and acting like a fool during the entire game. They're up 10 points at halftime. They're dancing in the streets there because Mahomes looks like he's never going to get off the mat. And sure enough, you end up losing there. All of a sudden, you hate your team.
Yeah, I mean, that's
hate your team. Jalen Hurts, he couldn't have had a better ball game, right? All they're talking about is a fumble.
Yeah, he played great. He had one bad play.
One bad play, and that was it. All right, speaking of football and this Daniel Jones thing, I was reading a little bit more about that. He was looking for like $50 million a year, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, the deal's a joke. Look, it's funny. For people like me who have been hard on Lamar Jackson, I have no leg to stand on when you see Daniel Jones. It's not even that he had a good year. He literally, by stats standards, had an average year. He had 15 touchdown passes. That's like the 1940s.
He's not great, as we saw when the money was on the table there in that last playoff game against Philadelphia. He all of a sudden, went south completely at the moment of truth. The big measuring stick.
Guys get paid because they're better, fine. The great ones get paid a lot, and then the next guy up gets paid. But now we're paying for not being good, not being bad. Like, that's what Daniel Jones. He wasn't good. He was average. He was just not bad. So now
you've hated him from the start, though. You thought it was a big mistake. I mean, this was bustology written all over it when they took him at number 6.
And I don't feel wrong about it. I feel vindicated. Like, his great year was 15 touchdowns. Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's Bob Greasy had more than 15 touchdowns for a team that had 3 top-notch running backs. Like, 15 touchdown passes. That's pathetic. Like,
15 being the big number. Everybody always throws that out there, that there are maybe 15 serviceable quarterbacks that you can start with some level of confidence that maybe you're in there with a shot that this guy's not going to be so bad that he precludes you from having any chance of winning a championship. That in the league of 32 teams, there are only 15 guys that would fill the bill at that position. And if you're one of them, you're all of a sudden worth $40 million a year. Is that not amazing? I mean, think about that.
It's just weird. Like
I would have questions about Daniel Jones because, the move probably would have been to franchise tag the guy and just see if he could do it over another season.
Yes. The problem is
I think they'll do that with Tua when it comes down to that decision.
Dolphins are definitely going to do that, and that would be the smart move for them to do that. Because again, the franchise tag number isn't 40 something. The franchise tag number
is $32 million for a quarterback. That's what Jackson got.
For 1 year, that's fine. Like he's getting 40 something a year. He's getting 40 something a year for being.
He may turn out to be just an eternal and perpetual stiff.
That's what he is.
After this year. Because, I mean, as good as the Giants' year was in terms of improvement from where they were at.
They were okay.
Was it that great?
They won 9 games. They want to play, and they won a playoff game over a team. All of us were like, like the Vikings had a nice record.
Right.
They weren't scary. They were.
Another $40 million quarterback that you wouldn't want to, put all of your faith in, and Kirk Cousins.
But that's the thing. At least Cousins would have. He was a guy. He's not great.
He seems like a more dynamic presence. I think this is where you're going than Daniel Jones. No,
that's the thing. He at least puts up stats. He's one of those modern day quarterbacks that's a stat filler. That when you watch him play, you're like, yeah, he lets you down. But then you look at your stats and you're like, oh shit, he had 4,000 yards and 35 touchdowns and 8 picks. Good for him. Like Daniel Jones doesn't do that.
Daniel Jones is in a great spot though. Think about this. If the Jets get Aaron Rodgers, all right, which more and more people are looking at that and saying that that's a likelihood, although,
they have to.
I guess you just never know until it actually happens because they schlepped all the way out to California to meet with Rodgers, all of the top Jets brass. Owner on down, right? Woody was out there, and Saleh, and
the whole thing.
General manager, was out there as well. And they went overboard to try and convince Aaron Rodgers, or at least I get a feel for where Aaron Rodgers was at, if you can possibly do that, unless you're the guy from the podcast, the punter. What's his name? Now on ESPN.
Pat McAfee.
Pat McAfee. But nobody else seems to be able to. It's kind of like when Rinaldi was the exclusive interviewer of Tiger Woods, who probably won't have much to say about this recent development. No, where the chick is saying she tricked him and locked him. He locked her out of his mansion, and then and here he is. I mean, Tiger. I was just saying how great it was to have him in a more peaceful and quiet place, and there he is, front page in the tabloids here with the girlfriend, and that's a great picture. He looks. Does he not look like the indifference has set in with her? Can you make that out at all? I don't know if it's visible. Look at her and look at him, and they're obviously. Are they at a tennis match? Where are they?
I don't know.
That is not the face of a happy man. That is the face of a man like Rory McIlroy if he 4-putted on number 1 in front of Rahm and Scheffler, his 2 main rivals, to win the championship there. He should have read my book. I was, thank God I was broke at the time. That would have worked for him. She wants $30 million of his money. Would she be entitled to that? $30 million bucks.
No, they're not even married. Like they're just dating, right? And you have to live together for a certain amount of years to get that time spent. Like look, and I'm not Mr. Tiger, but the idea of how money is split after relationships, and I don't understand. Like I don't like.
Yeah, I mean, what would entitle this woman to $30 million?
He was rich before you came. He was well known before you came. You had nothing to do with him making money, and you're not even married, and you have no kids together. How would she have claim to anything?
30 mil, yeah.
Come on.
I guess without her, he never would have made it back to the tour there after the accident, right?
That's not even a little true.
All right, so here's the Daniel Jones thing, though. I mean, you're in New York City. Now you're a $40 million quarterback. People are, naturally going to attach gigantic expectations to that and figure that if you have the same season that you had last year, you're not worth $40 million. You're now in the same category. This was pointed out in an article in the Post today as Aaron Judge. I mean, you're expected to do the same things as the $40 million guy that's playing down the street there at Yankee Stadium and be that kind of heroic, Paul Bunyan-esque type of figure, right? And as that's happening, if Aaron Rodgers signs with the Jets, nobody's going to care what Daniel Jones does, right? He's going to collect his $40 million. He can absolutely stink the joint out. And the entire focus of the New York fans and media will be on what Aaron Rodgers is doing with the Jets. Is that a fair statement? Or are there enough Giant fans to actually say, hey, you know what? Rodgers isn't living up to expectations. But you know who really sucks? Daniel Jones.
Well, the Giant look, Vaccaro sort of talked about it. The Giant fans are not used to having bad quarterbacks, so they've had it for a certain amount of time. They didn't like it, so they're happy to have any kind of quality of quarterback. Look, it's a Dolphin.
Is Jones the poor man's Phil Simms? I mean, in your opinion,
Jones reminds me of
unspectacular, but capable. Maybe of having a big game.
Jones reminds me of Tannehill. Like Jones, literally, when everything went well, he didn't get in the way. But the minute they needed him, he was, that was Tannehill. He's athletic. He can run. They love that he's a white guy that can run, which is a rare thing, I guess. And then he has a decent enough arm. And when he was turning it over 12 times a game, now he's only doing 5 interceptions for the season. Wow, look at him. But like, he's not good and he has no potential to be good. Like Vaccaro literally said, yeah, is he going to be really good? Oh, no. Okay, then why are you paying? Like, you understand there's a hard cap in the NFL. Like, once you start paying the quarterback that kind of money, he now has to make up for the other guys you can't afford. The average guy can't do that.
The math, though, on the salary cap considerations in the National Football League is as bizarre as anything I've ever seen. Because they're paying the guy $40 million, but his cap hit is only $18.5 million. Which tells you what? I mean, do they not count money that's paid in an attaché underneath the table to his agent? How could you possibly have a salary that supposedly is $40 million, only count for half of that? And I never understand these permutations of math. This Andy Ellersberg, that with the Heat must be some kind of genius, no?
Oh, 100%.
Mathematically?
100%.
Yeah. I mean, what kind of gift do you have to have? You got to be Matt Damon in Good Will Hunting to figure this stuff out, no?
Well, the NFL means nothing because, it means more now with certain positions because they're getting guaranteed money. But as long as they're not getting guaranteed money, then their contract means utterly nothing. The NBA, every contract's guaranteed. So that's why it's even more impressive when
Major League Baseball, too, yeah. Aren't hockey contracts now guaranteed?
Every contract except for NFL. And now the NFL, because players have more power, the signing bonuses, upfront money, whatever, there's more guaranteed money now than before, but it's still not fully guaranteed. So like being able to work the cap in the NBA is magic because the contracts are guaranteed. So it is getting guys to deal with buy-ins and this and that. NFL, you can just cut them. All right, get the fuck out of here.
That's great. I mean, look what's happening with Aaron Rodgers, right? Yeah. He was supposed to make $60 million from the Packers. You think he's going to walk on that if he had a choice there? But they're probably telling him, hey, listen, Aaron, it ain't happening.
Exactly.
If we have to, we'll ultimately let you go. I mean, and the Jets are going to have to cough over like $50 million for this guy, no?
Yes.
If that's the direction that they go in. How many more years do you see him being effective, Aaron Rodgers? I mean, and I don't know that a comparison with Brady is fair. The guy is what? Is he going to be 40 years old also, Aaron Rodgers?
38. I think he's 38.
Okay, so he might have a little more shelf life left than we're giving him credit for. Because I was thinking if the Jets signed Aaron Rodgers, it would have to be because they got him for nothing except the money, and that he was going to be a 1-year stopgap for him, but at a very high level.
Yeah, that's not the case.
And
that's why
if they were their future on Aaron Rodgers, obviously it's not going to last long.
That's the thing is he's going to cost a lot of money. The Packers may pay some of it. That's what they're working on. But he's going to cost the Jets a lot of money, and you're not getting more than 2 years out of him. The fact they didn't go hard after Derek Carr and I know they went and talked to Derek Carr, but it was already being reported he liked the Saints. Like they should have been out in front and gone all in on Derek Carr, and they did the Brett Favre.
Well, I mean, they had nothing but high praise for him. They supposedly had a wonderful time together, and Derek Carr had very favorable things to say about the New York Jets organization. But perhaps he took a look at the history of New York Jets organization quarterbacks
Maybe.
and realized it was tantamount to the kiss of death. Speaking of the Pentangeli testimony, right? They just wheel your brother in there and they say, hey, you know what? He may be going back to Italy, but he ain't going to live long. And as think of it, the rest of your family is not in such great shape either there, Frankie. So what do you got to say now? I thought Carr was gonna sign with the Jets, when all of that rhetoric was going down, and now it appears it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. Could it be anybody else? Lamar Jackson is free to talk to other teams, and what does it say that Only the Cleveland Browns were willing to guarantee a guy $235 million in its entirety for a guy who was coming from a very suspect place in terms of really being able to help this team. The Cleveland Browns. Only they were willing to do it, and it seems like nobody else. If somebody else, wanted Lamar Jackson right now, I mean,
they could have him.
You would think they could have him just by guaranteeing the entirety of his contract.
And the fact that NFL organizations never do this, where they're like, we're not going after a guy. Like, even if they don't want a guy, the Dolphins made it clear they weren't going after quarterbacks, yet people still thought they were going after quarterbacks. 6 to 8 teams have said we have no interest in so when people say there's collusion going on, it does feel weird because NFL organizations don't do that.
My fear is that the Dolphins probably should be a team that is going after one of these quarterbacks.
They're not.
It's hard to say they would be better off with Derek Carr than giving Tua another shot to prove that he could last an entire season at that level that he had displayed early in the year. But I don't know. I'm not sure that Tua is going to be able to measure up to that. I'm beginning to have my doubts, Lubie, as much as I hate to say that this guy is going to be somebody that puts together, 4 or 5 really, really good years at the quarterback position for the team.
That's the funny thing.
In
They're asking
succession.
for 1 year. They're asking for 1 year where he plays, 17 games? I would think you want him to play at least 15 games. If he can play 15 games, that's a success because he's missed at least 4 games a year.
At the level that he displayed when he was at his best.
For that stretch, that, what was it, 6-game stretch? He needs to do that for a whole year, and he needs to play. With him, it's, as much as you question his ability, the question that no one can fight, including stands, as they say, like me, is his health. He has to play 15 games. Quarterbacks will miss a game here or there, fine. He can't miss 4. He can't miss 4 or more. Or he's
then come back and have a stinker, right after that.
But even if he plays well, he can play like fucking Tom Brady. He misses 4 or more games, it doesn't matter. The biggest ability is availability. That's the most important fucking thing. And if he doesn't play 15 or more games, he is of no use to you. I have to say that.
All right, we're going to take a brief pause here and then come back and talk a little NCAA tournament, kind of diversify things. And this guy's great, so you'll enjoy him. Scott Spinelli is going to join us. He is also a member of the cast of characters on the Believe podcast network, which we feature. And actually, he's going to be our guest there as well. So we'll talk to Scott Spinelli about the conference tournaments, the NCAA tournaments, Jimmy B, Rick Pitino, and a host of other things in just a moment as we come back in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 9:01.
Hey, folks, Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. All those ingredients, no pun meant there, are hard to find unless you're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. You see, they encompass all of those attributes. Really, really good food, amazing atmosphere, good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched. Steaks hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. It's the one day, folks, that you can forget about low-carb diets. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Recently, we realized it's not just hurricane season that can hurt us. Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business. And the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. Before you call the insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752. Would you go into court without an attorney? So why would you go up against an insurance company without Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa? 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Give them a call at 954-809-8752.
Jim Larianega, we love you, Jim Larianega.
Coach Larianega, won't you do us a favor? Bring us a winner, one thinking winner. Deliver a winner in this town filled with losers.
Buenos dias. The cafecito is piping hot. Why not enjoy it with Defo and Lubie? It's now time for the Defo Show.
Now we've got overtime, Lubie. We've got overtime here. Yes, it's going to be some ball game here. They're going to play another 5 minutes before we decide it, maybe more. And we swing into overtime here on the show. Glad you guys stuck with us. This is becoming somewhat habitual here. And we do this because we want to bring you the wide variety of sports, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. And a lot of people are going to be going down in their without people going to the office, do you still have an office bracket in the NCAA tournament? Well, I know we were sent one by the executives there at Believe.
Yes, sir.
I have been unable to log into that. Have they already? They could not possibly have established the brackets because we don't know who's going to be in this tournament.
Exactly. No, you can join in, but there's no one to pick yet. There's no.
All right, so that gives me at least maybe a week to figure out how to sign up for this thing.
I'll try
because there's a dime at stake there. I mean, from the Believe Podcast Network, which is great, and we wouldn't mind getting a piece of that. In fact, I'll partner up with you, Lubie, if you want to, and we can split $500 each if we're lucky enough to win that. They have some very distinguished people, great handicappers. Look, Brandon Lang, is he allowed to enter? Brandon Lang, being a professional handicapper, and get involved in the tournament bracket thing with Believe Podcast? Because I would have to think that he would have some sort of edge, as does. And would our next guest who's coming up on the show, and the reason that we're sticking around is to talk to Scott Spinelli, who is part of the Believe Podcast Network and also a college basketball expert of the highest order, as we were thrilled to talk to him previously about the NCAA tournament and college basketball in general. And I believe we are welcoming Scott to the program right now. Scott Spinelli, are you with us? Hello.
Yes. Hey, guys. How are you? It's been a while. Great to be on the show again with you. Always a pleasure.
It's great to have you on. And, of course, Scott's background, he coached at Boston College, Texas A&M, and Maryland as well, and now doing the podcast, and really is zeroed in on everything that's going on in college basketball. And this is the time of the year. Scott, let's start here. I mean, you always wonder how the cleaning lady always wins the office pool, especially when it looks like they're, standout favorites to win the tournament. But if ever there was a year of the cleaning, I would think it would be this year. What is your thought about how open the tournament actually is?
You know what? I think this year, again, much like every other year, you're going to have some teams that just have those favorable matchups. They get hot at the right time. And all of a sudden now you're looking at another team like last year's St. Peter's that you never thought would actually make a run, but they did. And as you guys know, so much of this NCAA tournament is about the matchup, right?
Oh, no doubt. And, and yet it seems like, they always talk about it in terms of parity. It's interesting because watching some of these smaller, conference tournaments, you do have to pay attention to teams like St. Peter's. Did they not knock off Iona as the number one seed before they made their way into the tournament? St. Peter's last year? Am I correct in that?
Yeah. Yep, they did. And I think this year they're actually right now, they didn't have a great regular season, but they're actually making a semi-run here in the MAC tourney. But, to your point, there's so many teams this year. I like you said, there's a lot of parity. And I think there's a couple reasons why. If you talk about it from a basketball standpoint, the NCAA gave those kids or gave all student athletes an extra year of eligibility. And then you combine that with the transfer portal. So you've got a lot of older experienced players dispersed throughout the country at all levels of basketball right now. And because of that and that experience, you look at a team like Drake. They're a team right now that you've got to keep a close eye on because, first of all, the Missouri Valley, my son's a freshman. He plays at Evansville. And I watched the Valley very closely this year. But Drake is a team that literally starts two guys who are 25 years old, one 24-year-old, one 23-year-old, and one 20-year-old. And out of those starting five, four of them, and I've never seen this in college basketball, 1,000-point scorers throughout their career. And the youngest player, DeVries, is the coach's son, and he's their best player. So that's a team right now that you've got to look at. But to your point, it is a very wide open NCAA tournament.
I think I was 25 when I graduated finally. Accumulated enough credits to get out of school. I mean, holy John Blutarski. That's some serious, experience edge there. And, you're talking about, at that point, a much more mature physical presence than they have if you're talking about kids that are like 18, 19 years old that are playing as freshmen now. All right. I mean, everybody's always looking for sleepers. You mentioned a couple. I mean, and we earlier, I know you're probably familiar with Brandon Lang, also on the Believe Podcast Network, professional handicapper. He was touting a team like Iowa State. And I thought they'd kind of fallen off a little bit, but oddly, I was just reading some preliminary stuff about conference tournaments, and the guy that had written this particular article I was reading had Iowa State pegged as possible surprise team to win their conference tournament. Are there teams out there that have legitimate chance? How deep does it go? Can you go 20 deep with possible champions this year, Scott?
Well, I think there's a couple teams that stand out right off the bat. I mean, first of all, Kansas is, got a few guys on that roster that are repeat national champions from last year. I mean, Jalen Wilson, Big 12, player of the year, who declared for the NBA draft after his first 2 years and came back another year. Deshaun Harrison, they're going to be a very, very difficult team to beat. And I think Kansas, to me, is the best team, or the team that you really got to kind of look at here to getting to the Final Four again and maybe cutting down the nets. But Houston is complete this year. They're healthy, knock on wood. Sasser's back. They're going to be a very difficult team in the tournament. And I'm talking about the top, 1 seeds here. UCLA, I was on that, kick with them, but I think with them losing, sadly, Jalen Clark is now out for the rest of the year. That's a huge blow to them. And maybe I'm sure they're going to rally around him, but they're a very capable team too. And look, and then you kind of go from anybody, right? I mean, you look at the Canes, Miami, with their guard play with Wong and, and what they have right now down there. Again, if they get the right matchups, they're going to be a dangerous team here in the tournament. But there's a lot of teams that could come away from outside and make a run. I mean, Oral Roberts this year, again, they won their conference tournaments. They're very capable. You saw UNC Asheville. I mean, there's another team that, is really good. I mean, College of Charleston, has already got 30 wins. I mean, they're going to be a very difficult out. And again, I think, if I'm looking at this from where I'm sitting today, the Mountain West for the first time, and they've always had they get multiple teams in every year and then they lose. This year, again, coupled with the experience, and coupled with those teams out there, like at least 3, if not 4 of those teams are going to get in. Their 3-point shooting is is elite in most all of those teams. And so when you think about San Diego State, you think about a Utah State, you think about a Boise State, and who knows about it. But those are teams you're going to have to keep an eye on too, just because they shoot the 3 ball so well, and that can obviously, the 3-point shots going into the tournament, you can beat anybody.
Okay, and we've asked Coach Larnaga this himself. We're actually pretty friendly with him, and he has sort of laughed it away in this day and age with transfers and freshmen getting such a high level of play. But to me, at least when I was growing up, you talked about guard play and experience always seemed to matter a huge deal in the tournament, right? Like the Canes making it to the 8s last year, returning Wong, returning Jordan Miller, usually would be a big deal. However, a Nigel Pack, who's a big part of their team this year, is new, a transfer. They have a whole slew of transfers. So how much does experience, you saw Kansas win it last year. We saw with Carolina, it didn't help them at all. They were in the final. Now it looks like they're not even going to make the tournament. How much does getting deep into the tournament in 2022 matter for 2023?
It really does. I think that tournament experience matters. Look, as a coach, what you're trying to talk to your team about all year is, every game or every day in practice, starting from the workouts individually to the weight room to the preseason, is just to get better. And I think right now, a lot of these teams that are coming into this year's tournament have guys who have been there, done that at their respective schools. They've got experience. And even if they hadn't gotten to the NCAA tournament, they were in those conference tournament settings, which is like the NCAA, right? For the most part, those, tournaments that are on neutral floors. And those guys are battle tested. So again, I think experience matters so much going into this NCAA tournament. And especially if you've had like the Kansas pedigree, Houston's been there. There's two teams right there that I think are really, capable of even colliding in the national title game. But there's a lot of other good teams out there, a lot of good players. Which team's going to get hot? And again, guys, as you guys know, the game has changed so much with skill, and teams that can shoot the three ball with versatility are really difficult teams sometimes for those Power 5 conferences to match up with when you have a 5-man out on the floor who's dribbling through his legs and dribble handoff and flips, and he's also shooting threes. It's really a difficult matchup sometimes where those teams can beat you from the 3-point line. So interesting tournament this year. But yeah, I agree. Experience does matter quite a bit.
Scott Spinelli, you coached several stops along the college basketball tour with us here, and also is the host on the Believe podcast network of The Breakdown with Coach Spinelli and Jason Karras. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And good to have you on the program. All right, I'm watching, having been, a guy that was at Syracuse circa about 50 years ago. And Jimmy B, had a marvelous run there, 47 years as a head coach. When I was there, he was the freshman coach. He had just become the freshman coach, and Roy Danforth was the head coach of the varsity basketball team. Freshmen weren't eligible, so he was coaching a separate squad. Interesting career, 5 Final Fours, 1 championship, within an eyelash of winning another one with a great team. Seemed to do better with the teams that were less heralded than the ones that had star caliber players on there. I think he sent about 26 first-round draft picks into the NBA. But did it seem to you, Scott, like as that jumper was being taken by Wake Forest yesterday, like before the guy even let go of the ball at the buzzer with 0.2 seconds to go in the game, that Jimmy B's contract was in the shredder because they knew it was going in? What did you make of that situation there? Because just prior to the ACC tournament, Boeheim is boasting that, hey, I'll retire when I feel like it. I'm the one that's going to make the call. I guess their worst nightmare of the athletic department there and the chancellor, the president of Syracuse, was that Jimmy B should win the ACC tournament. So do you think they were rooting for him to lose there? They already looked like they had this move in place.
First of all, I got to tell you, as you guys know, and you said this, Coach Boeheim will always be, synonymous with that Syracuse basketball program and how he stuck to his identity for all those years with that patented 2-3 zone. And it's just something that, it's kind of a sad day, right? When you lose somebody that's, with a legendary coach like himself that, every time you've played against him, whether I played as a player against Syracuse, I've obviously coached against him for several years. And, you're trying to prepare for something like that is really not easy to prepare to. Most teams put these zones in him so they can go against a zone in practice. And, Syracuse, the way they played their zone, the way they recruited to it, their personnel was perfect to it. You got to tip your hat to Coach Boeheim and all he has done, not only for Syracuse basketball, but the game. I don't know the ins and outs of the specifics of what happened and how this thing went down. You hope that it was, kind of his choice here. I just think that he deserves that. What he's done. And again, I don't know how that all went down, but he surely will be missed through all of college basketball in so many ways.
It didn't look like it went down in a very favorable fashion, although they did pick his assistant. It's weird to have your signature as a coach be something that I would associate with among the 2 worst strategies in basketball history. Only exceeded by, Dean Smith and the 4 corners, which was atrocious and led to, severe rule changes and alteration in the way the game was played. Because here is a guy with like 9 hamburger All-Americans and he's playing keep away like you're in the driveway with your little sister. And I'm thinking, not exactly a brilliant strategy. The 2-3 zone, Scott, when you went against that, tell me you weren't firing threes all night long. against that. It seems like the easiest defense to play and defeat, but it worked for Jimmy B somehow. And as you're saying, it was somewhat treacherous for other teams to decode.
Right. It's an unconventional 2-3 in so many ways, but what made it really difficult to go against is the personnel that they had. So oftentimes, if you play against Syracuse and you've never gone against them, you don't really know them, you think, okay, those bottom low block positions or those short corners, well, we can get the ball down there, and then you're just going to go up and lay it in. But what happens is they've always had that long 6'10", 6'11", 6'9" shot blocker where you would think that you could see the rim, and all of a sudden the ball would be batted against the backboard and they'd be starting to break. So they really made a living off recruiting, to that zone, especially as it relates to those long athletic forwards and that 5-man in the middle. It really made it difficult to play against. They cover ground. And then you top it all off. I mean, think about this now. With the rule changes in college basketball, it really favored Syracuse because, you really couldn't touch anybody anymore. So teams were trying to go against zone, but nobody played it against Syracuse. That's who they are. And they very rarely had foul trouble. I mean, they have obviously at times, but, when you're sitting in a zone like that, oftentimes you're not really going to put a lot of pressure on your guys in terms of committing fouls. And then you top that all off with them having a home court advantage in the dome. You're trying to shoot in a dome, like you said, from the 3-point line. That's a whole different backdrop there as it relates to the opposition coming in and playing in that arena. So there were so many things that were established in Syracuse's favor, but it is not an easy zone to go against. And you laugh because you think, 2-3 zone, those are easy. We'll just jack up threes. As Lee Corso would say, not so fast. I mean, it's not that easy against those guys. So, tough, unconventional zone to play against.
Amazing, too, that I don't know what brochure Boeheim showed Stevie Thompson when he was leaving Los Angeles to come play at Syracuse, but certainly didn't look anything, I would imagine, like it actually, was there, where you were, like, covered and buried in snow from registration all through, like, spring break, and maybe even after. Anyway, legendary career. Second all-time victories to Coach K. About he had 1,116 victories. Coach K 1,202, 35 NCAA tournament appearances, 5 Final Fours, 1 championship, and an unceremonious dumping after that Wake Forest 3 went through, and he was eliminated in the first round of the tournament. There were signs of senility there, though. I mean, I don't mean to imply that, literally, but. All of a sudden, he was even pointing a finger at our man, Coach Larinaga, who seems to be the epitome of integrity, and saying that, he bought a team. And it seemed uncommon that Boeheim, who was always, kind of irascible with the press, and it seemed like he was always bitter and sour, would then start, like, lashing out at others. That was kind of uncharacteristic, and that happened this year. Final thing, and on the coaching front, our friend Rick Pitino, who we got to know pretty well, because he's a South Floridian, and had a place down here forever, and was always a frequent. We would run into him at the track all the time, actually. And he had a book out. We had him on a few times, and it turns out to be a great guy, at least in our estimation. Cleared of all of his stuff with the NCAA. Does he end up in another school besides Iona, which, everybody's talking about that and saying that he might leave? He's denying it. Georgetown probably, looking for a new coach. St. John's looking for a new coach. Two schools that might be being appealing to him. Where does he end up?
Well, as you guys said, I've got tremendous respect for Coach Pitino and what he's been able to accomplish, in this profession. I mean, it's, again, another, legendary coach who set the bar high as it relates to his intensity, his team's really getting after it, extending defensively, and really, kind of instituting that full court pressure type style that, he made famous at Kentucky and so on and so forth. The other thing about Coach Pitino, that, as a coach who's worked for many different coaches along the way, you got to tip your hat to Coach Pitino in terms of him helping so many of his assistants move up the ladder. I think he had a vision. And he's just got such a network within the profession now of guys who have either worked with him, alongside him, or worked for second generation assistants of his. And you got to love that about a leader that pushes his guys. But as it relates to him moving along, look, there's obviously, like you guys, you hear a lot of the different rumblings. Look, he's got the energy. Obviously, he's a tremendous coach. I'm sure he's got a lot of unfinished business still, as competitive as he is in terms of the kind of the path he took here recently. So I wouldn't be surprised one bit to see him step up here and get one of these, BCS or Power 5 jobs and then try to make a run at another national title.
All right, and one more thing, if you don't mind, Scott. We're talking to Scott Spinelli. You can catch him on the Believe Podcast Network. The Breakdown with Coach Spinelli and Jason Keys, and that is also loaded with outstanding insight into the college basketball scene. It may be a premature evaluation, but as of now, who are you taking to be? Give me at least a couple of teams you think will be in the Final Four.
Well, I think there's two teams this year to me that really stand out. I would have even included UCLA, but I'm taking right now a Kansas team and a Houston team that I know they're both kind of favored and they're there, but boy, I tell you what, if Houston continues to stay healthy, they're as complete a team, as there is in college basketball in terms of playing both ends of the floor. I've never seen a Houston team that ranks not only they all year or every time Coach Kellen Sampson's teams have been in the top of the defensive side of their conference and in the country in terms of how good they are defensively. But this year, offensively, they are a very complete team, and they're going to be a team that's going to be really difficult to deal with here in the tournament. Kansas, I mean, they're averaging almost 17 assists per game. Tremendously well coached. They're balanced. They're experienced. They've got star power. They've got guys that cut down the nets last year. Those two teams, to me, stand out. Again, I think there's a lot of other teams, again, depending upon matchups, that could get there. I mean, UConn is very, very talented. They're coming together now. They're playing well. And Duke's won, several games in a row here. They're getting hot right now with a lot of talent. So you got to kind of keep an eye on Duke. Miami's loaded with experience, that you guys had mentioned earlier. I like them. But look, the team that I think you got to keep an eye on is, some of these teams coming out of these lesser conferences. Look for those Mountain West teams to maybe at least one of them, if not two, maybe to win a couple games. Who knows what can happen with them? And then I love that Drake team out of the Missouri Valley. Keep your eye on Drake. I think if they get the right matchups, they are going to be a problem, a big problem in this tournament. And then you got to deal with the other, the Oral Roberts of the world, the Kennesaw States. I mean, those teams are on exceptionally, emotional highs. So you got to keep an eye on some of the smaller teams. But I think Houston and Kansas stand out to me right off the bat.
All right, I'm going to go into this with a motto there that you inspired. Put your money on Drake and let them eat cake, my friend. As we'll hopefully make some cake on this tournament. The year of the cleaning lady, I believe this is going to be it. Cleaning ladies everywhere are going to prosper here as if this was a lottery ticket for them. It's going to be amazing. Coach, thanks so much for being with us. It's always a pleasure. We'll catch you on Believe the Breakdown with Coach Spinelli and Jason Karras. And thanks so much for appearing here with us on the show.
Love being on the show, guys. Always a pleasure. All right, take care. Have a great day.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate it, man. That contract was in the shredder, man. Lubie, as soon as this guy went up with the shot.
I think it was understood that he was done, and he just wanted to make it seem like it was his call, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think it was understood this is his last year. He's 78 years old, and they haven't been good in 6 years.
I think he's bitter. I really do.
Obviously bitter, but I mean, It is what it is. Like, it was done.
It might be a handsome. I'm sure he made. his share of cake, and you can't spend it at Syracuse because you can't go anywhere, right? No, really, you can't even get out of your driveway. I mean, it's amazing. Snowbanks. I mean, you're seeing that stuff that's going on in the mountains, the San Bernardino Mountains out there in California, at like 7,000 feet of altitude. That's what it's like at sea level there at Syracuse. It's unbelievable. All right, we have to run. Thanks so much for being with us. Tomorrow, Degenerate Friday, and we'll have our handicappers. I think, is Mark Lawrence going to be involved on that show, or is he just going to go before the before the NCAA tournament? I'm not sure.
Yeah, next week. He'll be back with us next week.
All right, and the Revolution is going to be televised 12 o'clock today. Mike Mayo on the Mike Mayo Lunchbox Show. Come on out. Esposito's. If you're in South Florida, please come on out and support this poor man, Joe. I don't want to characterize him as a poor man. He doesn't need sympathy, but he needs people to rally around him after this YMCA burial that took place on Channel 10 with a vicious and unwarranted attack on this man's integrity. and then unfortunately, portrayed as an angry character because what did he do? He got angry. Oh, when these people started flashing cameras around and saying, "Hey, your restaurant is a piece of garbage here, and no one's ever going to eat here again." I mean, it was unbelievable. An exaggeration of what really transpired by the crew at Channel 10, which I have respect for, but nonetheless, it was a very callous response we got from Wines here about, "Hey, do you really believe it's fair that this happened one time, was corrected in one day, guy was back in business with the approval of the state, and you buried him like that?" Buried him.
Yeah, he's like, it is what it is. It's like, no, it's
He's like,
not.
no,
It's
it should never happen in the first place.
Okay.
It's like, well, if there was anybody else that day, would you necessarily have picked him? He said, no, we would have drawn names out of a hat. He would have gotten a free
that's what he
pass.
said. He said, yeah, you can say that. It's like, okay, so then you're totally contradicting yourself.
Yeah. You have to realize the weight you carry. This isn't Fox News, my friend. This is a local television station where you're telling something that is absolutely, foreign to the truth. And, you're just getting up there and then repeating it anyway. Hey, yeah, that's the ticket.
Yes, I know.
John Lovett's time. All right, we'll see you at 12 o'clock, hopefully live at Esposito's there with the Mike Mayo Lunchbox Show, and we'll do it again tomorrow at 7. Check out Defo on 5 with Mike Lubie Lubitz on the 5 Reasons Podcast Network or Sports Network.
Yes.
And keep following those tweets, man. That's very encouraging, Lubie. It's very encouraging. I like that. All right, we'll see you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
9:29.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.